for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
My dad passed away unexpectedly. Of course, it was awful in every way, but we are very grateful that he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still able to provide for us. And that's why I have life insurance for my family. Ethos.com. They make it fast and easy to get covered. It's 100% online. You get a quote in seconds, and you can apply in minutes. You get covered the same day.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required. Rates may vary.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
It's a pretty nice Tuesday afternoon. Partly sunny skies, nothing more than a spot late day shower for the high. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy, a couple of late night showers, 65. Wednesday, partly sunny, a couple of scattered showers, maybe a spot thunderstorm, 83. Just spotty stuff around on Thursday again. But an increase in shower and thunderstorm activity Thursday night and Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to a brand new week post-Memorial Day as we get started here. I'm back from just a short respite out in the desert of Nevada in Las Vegas. The crew had off yesterday. We did a best-of show. Ethan, Fred, the Hall of Famer, Sue, all back in the studio with us. The show is whole. How is everybody?
Good.
Did you enjoy your weekend? That wasn't very convincing, by the way.
Well,
maybe good.
No, I thought it was great. I would have used another day.
Yeah.
Fred?
I enjoyed having the day off, but now I'm a day behind.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just like I keep thinking it's Monday.
And, you know, this whole, and we've stated this before, but I'm going to take a stand against it. I don't like a whole week after Memorial Day, like an entire week of the year, and then we don't get to June 1st until next week. I don't think I'm capable of, I don't think we can do anything about it.
No.
But it is kind of strange. But I was out in Las Vegas, as you guys know. I took off on Friday morning. I came back yesterday afternoon. This was my first experience with the new Southwest seating policy. Now, Fred, you experienced that a little while back. So I have the credit card, so I think I'm a little advantaged there when it comes to being an A-list member, because you still get, if you have the Southwest Visa card, the Chase card, you still get, I think, one bag checked for free. So I brought golf clubs with me, so that was $35. Okay, so I paid $35 for that. And it was okay. But here's my issue. And I will say that on the way back, I was trying to see if there was any real difference. Like, I was in the first boarding group, so it didn't really matter. I was in 60 on the flight out there and then 90 on the way back. I had to have my aisle seat, right? So everything was very, very similar. I didn't notice any difference until we came back yesterday. And this probably happened when we were landing on Friday morning as well. But I was announcements coming over, right, from the flight attendant. But I'm watching the documentary. So at one point, I think I try to listen, but I'm continuing to watch the documentary, and I can tell that the woman's eyes are on me, next to me, right, and she can't help herself, because I think what they said is that it's time to lift up the tray tables and put that stuff away. So I could tell that she's eyeballing me, and I finally she points toward my iPad. So I slip my headphones down, and she's like, I think they want you to put that away. And I wanted to say, well, I don't really care if they want me to put it away. But here's the issue. This is where, and I had to look this up. Now, I didn't say anything after the flight because the flight attendants were great. And we had one of those, first of all, we get on the plane yesterday, and she goes, welcome to Southwest Airlines flight, blah, 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 heading to Salt Lake City. And, like, we're almost in the I said to her. I'm like, I have the flight trackers on my phone. I'm like, why are they telling me to put my tray table up in my, my large computers with 42 minutes? So that's what I said to her. But then I'm like, okay, I better not cause trouble because the flight attendant's going to come by. Yes. Well, sure enough, this is a policy change that they started along with the seating change. And they're doing it now. Look.
Why?
Safety, they say. Because they started doing it at 18,000 feet instead of 10,000 feet. I could be getting that wrong. I'm doing this by memory right now. For those of you who are pilots and stuff like that, you would know. The problem is what they said was they were going to do this 10 minutes early, right? Well, it was not 10 minutes before they usually do it. It was 15 more minutes. So I don't know if that's because there was turbulence or anything, but I decided to not make a big deal out of it. It was just kind of annoying. The question that I had about that is like, couldn't I just put up my tray table and still have my iPad out on my lap?
Yeah, well, I am confused. I thought part of it was supposed to be that, if you turned on your cell phone, the signal would interfere or possibly could. Is this a safety issue
I don't
having
know.
that up?
I don't know, but then let me just say this because there's no way I can do a show like this.
I know.
Somebody is hammering in this building. I don't know if it's above where I am. I don't know if it's below. I don't know if they're in the ceiling. I don't know if they're in the wall. But what in the world is going on? I don't know if the listeners can hear it. Listen, I stopped.
They won't do it now.
Yeah, of course not.
See if it's there. I was in here. Oh,
what is like? I just want to know what it is.
I was in the studio. Oh,
that was loud.
That was loud.
I think people could hear that
next door, and I for sure thought it was in the floor.
Okay.
But now it sounds like it's coming from the ceiling, so that makes no sense.
Ethan said he thought it was coming from the floor.
Yeah.
Because the floor is vibrating. All right,
it's under Fred.
Let me try to get back on track here because that was really distracting. Anyway, overall, the Southwest experience was fun. But I had a great time in Vegas. Let me ask you guys this little quiz question. How much did I win in Las Vegas, Nevada on this trip?
Zero.
I didn't place one bet. Now, when I go out there without the family, this is one where, I just went out to see my friends. They've got a beautiful pool. I just hung out. I had my golf lesson at the Butch Harmon School with John Horschman, who's one of my favorites. I go out there and take a lesson with him when I'm out there. We saw Nikki Glaser and David Spade. I've never seen Nikki in concert. I don't even think I've watched one of her specials, ironically, even though she's from here. And
did you enjoy it?
That was the Caesars residency. I did, but you know what? And I like this, but she was pushing buttons, man. I mean, there were some women next to me. They were actually from Kansas City, and she's making some John Benet Ramsey type jokes, and she's pretty raunchy too. Now, I like that stuff, but it didn't suit the entire audience. But Spade came on after. We weren't even sure who the headliner was going to be because it's kind of like a co-headliner thing. He was amazingly funny.
Oh, great.
It was stream of consciousness. I don't really think there were many F-bombs or anything like that. It was just, he was kind of soft-spoken. You had to listen to his stories, but I thought it was amazing. And then we had no plans on doing this, really, but it was sort of an audible thing where No Doubt is playing this residency, and it's a rather short residency at Sphere. I've been to Sphere a couple of times, so we bought tickets for that. And let me just say, it was a fantastic show.
Good.
And for my money, it was far, far better than the U2 show that I saw a couple of years ago. And I'm like the outlier on that because I know that people who went to that show, they think they're cool because they got to go to the first show. It wasn't that good, okay? It just wasn't. And if you go to more shows out there, you'll realize, I promise you, that it wasn't that good because now these bands have really figured it out. They're using the visuals in a more cohesive way. You kind of forget how big of a star Gwen was in the 90s and all those hit songs. I know, Fred, you were kind of, struggling a little bit thinking about what the songs were that they had. This one is a remake of a Talk Talk song.
This is my favorite one.
Right, but it's a remake of a Talk Talk song. But they did really, really a great job. It was an outstanding show at Sphere. I put some video and stuff up on Instagram stories. It might still be up there, but just colorful and really, I loved it. I'm so glad that I went. And, that's the thing with Sphere. You can go to a show where you maybe don't know much about the audience or about the artist itself. You learn a little bit, and you're kind of dazzled by the visuals. But I want the music to hit me, too, and that was the issue with the U2 show. It was all about the visuals. This one, far better cohesive. Go see it.
Good. They had that story out that Blake Shelton was there over the weekend.
Yes.
So did you see Blake Shelton?
I think he might have been at the Saturday show. We went Sunday because he had missed opening night. And that was like a big deal. Blake's not there for opening night, but he was there. By the way, if you go there, don't try to sit on the floor or the bottom level. That's my recommendation. I've done both now. I've been up higher. I've been way low. I was at the 200 level. It was perfect. It really was. The seats were great. So great time. Didn't win any money because I didn't spend any money. Had some great meals out there, and the weather was perfect. I mean, it could not have been better. Now, my friend Rick has French Bulldogs, as you know, Sue.
So
and
cute.
I had not met one of them because he had a dog pass away in the aftermath. We both did. Remember, we got back from Greece, and
terrible.
my dog passed away, Duke, and Rick lost a dog. So there was the new puppy, Kona, who's about a year old now, and he was nuts. He's my new favorite. And they have Maui, who's the other female Frenchie, and then they had this little dog that my friend's partner had since he was, little, not little, but a grown adult, I guess,
Right.
but it's an 11-year-old dog, so it's a little bit of a furry little barker and a project, but he was still fun as well. So I do need to mention this just from a, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow perspective. I haven't really notified Fred or Sue about this. I did let Tricia know. Might be a tough morning for me tomorrow, guys. We might have to have a backup plan. I'm getting my stitches out from my major surgery
Wait, all two
from
of
a
them?
week ago. Yeah, you can mock the fact that there are only 2 stitches,
Yeah.
Sue, but it was major surgery, as you know. I'm recovering still. Things are going pretty well. I was able to get into the pool in Las Vegas, which, I had a 5-day waiting period for that. That kind of threw me off just a little bit. But, yes, tomorrow morning I have to go. It's actually kind of ridiculous because literally, to your point, there are 2 stitches. Now,
Yes.
I don't know why I can't just pull these things out and why they have to see it, probably because they have to charge me. But this was also brain surgery, too. Like if this was just on your arm or something like that, maybe I didn't have to, go in. But this was major brain surgery, so maybe that's the reason.
Fred,
I don't know.
Was that brain surgery?
I think we're still having a pimple pity party.
Oh, yeah, that could be.
You guys
that.
can mock me all you want. Sean Spicer's coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we've got some slow-moving traffic, and it looks like it's road work, but this is eastbound 70 east of Warrenton. Oh, my gosh, that is so loud.
They're doing it again.
I know.
They stopped
What
for
did
like
they do?
5 minutes. They were
Okay.
nice. They were listening to my Vegas story, I think.
That's true. And southbound 270, a little bit slow at Manchester, and then again at Highway 21, and then things open up. Now, on the Illinois side, road work causing a little bit of a delay, eastbound 70 at 64, and eastbound 64 headed for 255 and 157. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This is going to be interesting to see how long that because nobody knows what it is either, which
No.
is kind of crazy. All right, Stewart's American Mortgage has a great offer for you. If you're thinking about purchasing a home, maybe you're worried because you know that the rates are higher than the last time you purchased a home, or you're in a home right now where you have a rate that's very low. He's got a great offer for you. Maybe this will get you off the fence a little bit because all new customers buying a home, he's going to offer a 1% discount on your 30-year mortgage for the first year. So for the first year of your new loan, you lock in that 1% lower interest rate, and you still get the BEGA loan. So that means no closing costs. 30-year mortgage, interest rate lower by 1% for the first year, plus the BEGA loan. That's an amazing offer. So if you're interested in purchasing, that's what Stewie has on the table right now. If you want to do a refi and you're thinking maybe the same, psychology, rates are too high, I have a low rate. Well, with the BEGA loan, you're not paying the appraisal fees, or the closing costs, the title fees, the broker fees, so you have an advantage there. And we believe so much, and he believes so much in what he does, he literally gives you his cell phone number, so you don't have to sit on hold. You're going right to the source. Jordan, his son, and Stewie, they handle all the loans, and they can close you in as little as 10 days. Google the BEGA loan or call or text 314-324-4040. NMLS number 226715.
Spring and summer air should feel fresh, not full of dust and allergens and whatever winter left behind in your air ducts. Mark Cox here. Your vents are the lungs of your home, and if they're dirty, you're breathing it in every day. That's where Zero Res comes in, backed by thousands of Google reviews and a 4.9 rating. This month only, get a whole system air duct cleaning for just $5.99. 314-474-2020 or visit ZeroResSTL.com and ask for the 97.1 special. We all know spring weather means spring storms. Mark Cox here for Hanson's Tree Service. Now's the time to remove any dead or hazardous trees over your home before the spring storms bring them down. It's a great time to have an arborist come out and put together a plant health care program for your trees and shrubs. You can also order mulch and compost directly from the website and have it delivered to your driveway. Just go to hansonstree.com. Again, That's Hanson'sTree.com.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. Call 314-499-2020. That's 499-2020 or GeneratorSuperCenterofStLouis.com. That's GeneratorSuperCenterofStLouis.com.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. In 2026, our agency celebrates a momentous occasion as we celebrate 65 years of service to our clients, a tribute to our founder and my dad, Nor Butts. Our staff is ready to assist you with all your insurance needs. So please call me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500 or at CrawfordButts.com. For auto, home, and commercial insurance needs, that's CrawfordButts.com.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, we have a lot of ground to cover this afternoon, including Sean Spicer, the host of the Sean Spicer Show, has got a brand new book out as well. Lots of stuff to talk about. Texas runoff today. Hello, Mr. Spicer. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I have your book because I pre-ordered it. Trump 2.0 is out, and I will say this, I haven't started reading it yet because I was out of town. I was in Vegas over the weekend. I'm terrible, right? Terrible host. I could lie and tell you that I've, finished half of it, but that would not be the truth.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know what else you could have possibly done in Vegas.
Well, there were a few things, Sean. There were a few things that I figured out. How to? Yeah, I know. Believe it or not. Although I just went on this rant here in the open. Things are so expensive out there. I know things are expensive everywhere, but it's like New York expensive in Vegas now. And they're not even getting the same amount of people coming into the Strip, but they certainly weren't hurting over the weekend. I'll tell you that.
Interesting. I went out there to give a speech, I don't know, a couple months back, and I hadn't been there in actually years. So I was intrigued by how things had changed a little, but it definitely has more of a upscale vibe, I'd say.
Yeah, look, back in the day, you used to be able to get really good deals on hotels, and some of that has come back, again, just because they've had some issues with foreign travelers. And look, some people want to blame that on Trump, but they want to blame everything on Trump. So before we get going here, let's talk about the book just a little bit, because it did come out 2 weeks ago, didn't it?
It did. Made the New York Times bestseller list, which I got to be honest with you, I was out there moving this thing as much as I could. My publisher said to me, Sean, I'm going to be honest with you. You put Donald Trump's picture on the cover of a book. I'm not really sure how that's going to go over with the New York Times, but clearly we did enough that made a difference. Well,
that's good. Yeah, that's interesting that there was some caution by the publicists thinking, that automatically would be something negative. So give the pitch to the listeners about the book and what you're writing about here.
So simply put, Donald Trump's only the second president in U.S. history to serve two terms that weren't consecutive. So why is that important? And that's the premise of Trump 2.0 is me explaining what happened in the intervening 4 years and why it's having an impact. So it wasn't like he just went down to Mar-a-Lago, played golf, and hung out. He literally fought and planned his return, the people, the policies, the process that are making a difference now. And that's what I think people really need to understand, because all of the things that are happening now are deliberate. There's a reason. There was a lot of planning by organizations and groups and people like Trump himself that are making a huge difference.
So do you think that would you include Iran in that grouping or not?
No.
Yeah, okay.
No. No, actually, it's a great question, because obviously you can only write up, but I don't think part of it was, what am I going to do differently this time? And I think you could make a case. So part of the whole idea of the book is to explain the mindset, why it's different, what makes it different. And I think that you could make a case why he wouldn't have done Iran the way that he's doing it now in Trump 1.0. And that's kind of the point of the book, is to look at issues like Maha, for example, and say there's no way. You would not have had a Maha movement in Trump 1.0. Just wouldn't have happened.
Right.
And it's explaining why that happened, or the settling the trade imbalance, or going after NATO the way he has and making them pay their fair share, are all things that are unique to Trump 2.0. And so that's the key, in my opinion, is the why.
So I've been more critical of the president the last, 2 months than I have been in a long time. Having said that, and that's on Iran, really almost solely on Iran, and then maybe that he's not being as sensitive to the inflation issue as he should be, because then I am reminded of Democrats. But I also want to say, because all these things that he has achieved, those are big achievements. He told us what he was going to do in many of these instances. So I'm not saying I'm ditching any of that, but what I'm saying is I don't know how well this was all, really thought through. And from this perspective, Sean, we could talk about Texas here too. I don't want the Democrats to have control next year, and I'm very concerned that they will. I'm certainly all for getting rid of nukes and, the enriched uranium, but it doesn't seem like we have specifics to really do that right now.
So a couple things on that. One, I share your concern, because the point that I make in Trump 2.0 is that if you don't codify this, if you lose a Republican majority, it all goes back to Trump 1.0 and impeachment, inflation. So I'm with you 100% on this, that you have to understand what's at stake. Number two, I've argued from the jump that Iran was there is no political upside, zero. President Trump didn't do this because he thought there was some political benefit to this. This was truly done because when you're the president of the United States, you have to do what's necessary to protect this country. In most cases, I don't think every president does that, but I think this president made a decision based on the intelligence that he had, how to protect this country. And there wasn't going to be a political upside. He did this knowing that there was probably a lot of political downside. And then lastly, if I may, I had a conversation with a very, very, very senior U.S. government official Sunday night, and who walked me through the status of where the negotiations are. And if they pan out in the direction in which they believe they will, and it's just going to take time because of the way Iran works. It's not, you don't just send over a DocuSign and say, here you go. But they're adamant that Iran cannot possess a nuclear weapon. And the phrase they used over and over again was no dust, no dollar, meaning they want that uranium. And so I just believe if this all works out, then gas will start to fall, and we will be a safer country and a safer world because of it.
Sean Spicer back with us this afternoon. His new book just out, Trump 2.0. Let me take you to Texas. That's the big thing now. Immediately after the first primary where you led to the runoff, Trump said, I'm going to get involved, right? And he waited a while, and then he finally put his thumb on the scale last week. He endorsed Ken Paxton. Where do you think this is heading tonight? I think Cornyn still has a chance. What's your expectation? Well, I don't know. I really don't, because I think
Mark
Paxton.
Reardon, I'm sorry.
All right.
I will. You give me some odds, I'll take them right now, because I have a better chance of starting as pitcher for the Red Sox next week
than Cornyn winning.
Than Cornyn winning.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just telling you, and between my arm, my hips, and my knees, regardless of my age, that gives you some idea. I mean, Cornyn, it's not a question of how much, if he's going to lose.
It's how much. All right. So would you think he gets blown out?
I think you could see a 30. Oh, yeah. This is going to be a 30-point spread. 30.
So then what happens in the fall? Because, the Democrats are going to spin this, that Tallarico then is the guy that has a chance, like Beto O'Rourke, against, the Republican candidate who's so tight with Trump. But that's Texas, right? That's not going to happen, is it?
Listen, there would have to be a lot happening for a guy who believes in 6 genders and that God is what was the word? I mean, this guy is so flawed.
No, it's ridiculous. I know.
And I just, if this was Maine, maybe, but the idea that folks in Texas are going to let a guy, aside from the cultural issues, right? He literally said our border should be like an open porch with the key on the back door so you can't leave. So anybody can come in and we keep them in. That's what he wants. And I just think, the folks of Texas and Arizona, I think have had it after 4 years of Biden's open borders. I think, look, I get that the media loves, every 4 years we go through this. Lucy with the football, Beto O'Rourke. Everybody's going to be the next guy that's going to take out somebody, and then they win by 10. So I think, that was basically the case, by the way, that the Cornyn people played to President Trump, which is this guy can't win. And then poll after poll came out and showed Cornyn faring just as well as Paxton. So this is going to be a big night. And I think and here's the reality, though. And this, again, is where I say this respectfully to people who, when they, want to play pundit for a minute, you can't just go into to Texas, politically speaking, like you can go into where I grew up in Rhode Island, right? Texas has, 8 media markets that are all fairly expensive. You can't just go in and dip your toe in. You either go all in or nothing. And so the Democrats have to make a decision, because going all in is, initially probably a $20 million investment well into the hundred and something, right? So I'm just telling you that that's just not – the Democrats are going to look at this guy, look at the reality and say, yeah, I'm not sure. Because you can't just they don't have the money and the options to go in and piss away $10 to $20 million just to test the water.
So there's a lot of political stories that I feel like I just don't get and I don't understand at all. And that's what's happening in Maine right now with this Graham Plattner guy and Bernie Sanders and the other Democrats, Elizabeth Warren, staying on board. What am I missing about this guy? He's reprehensible, just like the AG in Virginia, but they're not backing down at all, are they?
No, because Democrats will do anything right now. And that's actually a good point about Jones. Because think about this. I was having this discussion on my show, which will come out in a couple hours today. You think about what's going down. So you have a candidate in Texas right now that on the Democratic side, okay, Democrat who is led her primary, who said that Jews should go into detention centers. You have a California member from Sacramento that's running for Congress that turns her back when the Pledge of Allegiance is being said because she likes to think of all the terrible things that America stands for. You've got Graham Plattner in Maine, who stands up there and talks about the fact that, that women deserve some of the sexual violence perpetrated against them, and puts a Nazi tattoo on himself. And then you've got El Said in Michigan, who has, denounced 9/11 as a, well-deserved. And this is the state of the Democratic Party right now. They just believe that, hey, we'll say and do. And I forgot about Jay Jones, but you're right. We'll say or do anything in pursuit of power. That's where they are at now. I mean, I've been doing this. My first race that I got paid for was 1994. And if you told me that there was a candidate that had a Nazi tattoo on
right.
them and said that women did, I'd go, come on.
Yeah.
No one even would. You wouldn't even file the paperwork at that point. You'd say, I'm not doing it.
That's how crazy it is. That's why I'm like, what am I missing here? But I mean, he's got an 8-point lead in the polls over Susan Collins, doesn't he?
Well, look, I believe also, right now, we'll see where this thing ends up. I don't believe that that's where it finally goes. I just don't. I think Susan Collins will win this race like she does every time by 6 to 8 points.
In the end, yeah. No,
yeah,
well, I hope that. I hope you're right about that. And things do settle down. And look, the whole thing, let me go back to Cornyn and you pitching for the Red Sox. The guy has never really lost an election. He's got, obviously, a lot of money on his side. And I understand that he's not the favorite after Trump puts the thumb on there. But, I might be thinking it's a little closer than it, might end up being. But we'll see. I'm wrong about these things, so that's where I'm consistent,
well, look,
Sean.
Can I make my case for you real quick?
Yeah.
I think the whole reason they wanted Trump to stay out of this race is the Cornyn people literally did think he had a shot at this. Fine. I don't agree with that, but that's fine. They thought they had enough money and that they had enough infrastructure to get out the vote. Okay. Once Trump endorsed Paxton, right, there's 3 options. You can vote for Paxton, you can vote for Cornyn, or you cannot vote. And I think that what's happened, tonight will be a case of lower turnout, because a lot of the Cornyn folks are going to say, I'm not sure. Like, I know he's going to lose now. Do I really want to go vote? And they're not. They'll sit on their hands. And so what does that mean? I think that opens the margin for Paxton, because a lot of Cornyn people won't vote. And you'll have a lower number and then a bigger margin. So that's what I think what happened is, right. So a lot of people who, you think about it, you're going out to vote. Republicans tend to vote on election day. So people who were about to go vote and go, I got the kids have to go to practice today, and I got the PTA meeting, and I got this and that. I'm getting ready for the graduation or whatever it is, soccer practice. And I was going to go vote, but there's no way he's going to win now. So do I really want to go do that? And the answer is probably going to be no.
And, I agree with you from this standpoint, too. It's the Tuesday after Memorial Day. It's a weird day. Everyone's kind of getting back into the swing of things. So what you just said there does make sense to me. In the end, we'll watch.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Just think about that real quick. Think about it. I know a lot of people, I don't know about Texas schools, but there are a lot of schools around the country that are taking today off because it's a Muslim holiday. And so if you're off, are you really going to come back from vacation to go vote or whatever? I just don't think so.
No, I don't either, probably in that situation. Trump 2.0, it's the brand new book out by Sean Spicer. Always great to have you on. We'll count the votes tonight. Thank you, Sean. We'll see you soon.
Take care, Mark.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is a slowdown on eastbound 70 east of Warrenton before you get to Wright City. And the other jam is on eastbound 64 on the Illinois side, on either side of 255. Now, we just had an accident reported eastbound 70 at 141. Watch for that in the right lane. It's going against rush hour, not really a jam through there. Moderate volume westbound 64, headed for Clayton Skinker. And then it's slow pockets just west of Highway N out through the 64-70 split. Southbound 270, moderate volume in pockets from Olive down through Gravois. And 55 looks pretty good. If you're headed into Illinois, we're fine on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
This is Congressman Bob Onder. Americans demanded border security, and House Republicans delivered. According to the Department of Homeland Security, for 10 consecutive months, U.S. Customs and Border Protection has reported 0 illegal aliens released at the border. I'm proud to have worked with the Trump administration to secure our southern border and uphold our immigration laws, and will keep fighting to advance strong policies that protect Missourians and keep America safe.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Chrysalis Biosciences in Sauget, Illinois is hiring for multiple roles. Join a fast-growing ethanol plant transforming renewable energy with competitive pay, benefits, and growth opportunities. Apply today and grow your career with Chrysalis at chrysalisbio.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
3:35. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. 2026 is a big year for America, and we'll be here with you, celebrating every step of the way. Happy birthday, America, in 2026.
Well, it was a holiday weekend. I took a holiday out of town, so I wasn't paying super close attention to Iran. But do we have a deal? Are we on the, the final stretch to a deal? Are we not going to get a deal? Here's Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, on the Strait.
The Straits have to be open. They're going to be open one way or the other. So they need to be open. What's happening there is unlawful. It's illegal. It's unsustainable for the world. It's unacceptable. That cannot happen. The Straits need to be open, unimpeded, without tolls. And obviously that needs to happen immediately.
Yeah, a little hard to hear the audio there. I apologize for that. Basically saying, look, they need to be opening, and then on the language over a proposed deal.
I think there's strong alignment and agreement on what a preliminary draft should look like. I think that, like anything with something like this, it's going to take a couple days to settle on, even down to the disagreements over a word, sentence. So we'll have to work through that. If there's going to be a deal, we're going to have to work through that. It's either going to be a good deal or there isn't going to be one.
Yeah, I don't know that there's going to be one, but we're going to find out. Jacob Olidort is with us this afternoon, Chief Research Officer and Director of American Security at the America First Policy Institute. Jacob, welcome to 97.1 FM Talk in St. Louis. How are you?
It's great to be with you, Mark. Thanks so much for having me. It's a privilege to be the people of St. Louis.
How would you handicap the chances to get a real deal out of diplomacy here on Iran?
Well, look, I think Iran only responds to pressure, military and economic, which obviously the administration has applied historically with a lot of consequence and effect. And look, the other thing, too, that the president clarified in recent days is that time is on America's side here. We have time to get this right, which obviously is the focus of the administration. The first, obviously, piece of all of this is Iran giving up its quest for a nuclear weapon, giving up all of its uranium there. But, other pieces as well are there. The other part of the deal, too, which makes it important, is which parties are at the table and being consulted as we're trying to make this thing come together, if it is a good deal that's worth putting together, as the Secretary of State mentioned. And that is our partners in the region. So they are a party to this. They're aware of this. And ultimately, this is something that will matter, obviously, to their immediate future as well. So a lot of moving parts, a highly complex negotiation process amid a lot of geopolitical shifts that are all very important for the American people.
So I think just hearing you there, it sounds like you have a little more optimism for a deal. Now, one of the things that Iran wants here is they want $24 billion of their funds that have been frozen overseas to be released. So this kind of goes back and forth, and they're going to certainly want some things to help them on their side as well, right?
I'm sure Iran would like that, and probably other things as well. And that's the nature of negotiations, which, of course, is, they can't have it all. And the question is, what is the deal? What's the framework for negotiations that the Secretary of State referred to? What's basically the general contours, all of which, of course, is we don't have visibility into that. We're looking from the outside in. And so, and I think that's a good thing by design. We need to give it time and space to work out. But as the president always does, maintaining the option of military force when it's necessary. And so I think that's where we're at the moment.
I mean, I guess just personally, I'm a little surprised there hasn't been more military pressure, but I guess that he is hoping that some of these talks can move forward and that there will be a deal because, you kind of, Trump's not the type of person, we know this, to issue veiled threats, but there's been some threats to ramp this up again, and there has been no action. So I don't know if maybe that's optimistic that he feels like they're getting close to a deal.
Right. There, and also I think as part of that is understanding where the Iranian regime is as far as the pressure it's facing. Look, the naval blockade that's still in place has meaningful effect, of course, at cutting off Iran's economic lifeline. And then otherwise as well, its militias and other proxies are under pressure as well. That's meaningful here too. I mean, if you look at if you turn a little bit in the region, look at Lebanon, I think there Hezbollah is under pressure from the Israelis. So, a lot of it depends if we do end up using force, which may be likely, military force. The question will be what kind of shift in amping up the pressure it'll affect and what kind of effect we're looking to achieve with that type of action.
Jacob Olidort is here. He's the Chief Research Officer and Director of American Security at the America First Policy Institute. What do you make? There was an announcement today that there's going to be a big cabinet meeting at Camp David tomorrow. And, that's a little unusual. They haven't really had one. Camp David used to be something that was in the news all the time, I remember, from covering past presidents. But you will have all the cabinet members, including outgoing Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, in attendance. So what are your expectations there?
Right. I mean, well, and look, and she is a full member of the cabinet, obviously, for another month, over a month. So no surprise there that she'll be in attendance. I don't personally, we don't have obviously visibility into the agenda, the context there. So I really can't weigh in, obviously, beyond what we know in the public. I mean, it is, you note the different location. I don't know without the full context of what the broader context is there.
Yeah, and I think it is beyond, the way they describe it, it's beyond just Iran because they want to talk about some of the things that are happening with the economy, some of the anti-fraud initiatives, affordability issues, and foreign policy. So they're gonna run the gamut on this stuff. But you would think that Iran was going to be, at the forefront of all that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Camp David traditionally, specifically, but also these types of, off-campus or different settings, it does have a functional importance. I mean, it's a way to disconnect from the day-to-day pressures to just focus on the bigger strategic challenges and priorities. So in that respect, I mean, I would say if there's anything concrete, it signifies a focused attention, as you outlined, to all those issues in a way where you're not where you don't have the same kind of day-to-day, pressures on your time and attention. And so maybe in that sense, obviously, it's a meaningful time spent together with that very important group, and it'll be interesting to watch what the readout is from.
So, I'd love to hear, because as you probably know, Jacob, and I've shared this with the audience, but there was, I thought, very interesting reporting 6 weeks ago or so from the New York Times on the, the meetings that took place in the event leading up to the attack on Iran, in how many of the cabinet members, if not all of them, advised the president that, this might not be, well, certainly it wasn't the best political move. I think he knew that, but that there were other, risks at play here, including, dismantling some of our missile arsenal, which I think has happened. So I'd be very curious on the economy front. I think that the president's been kind of putting that to the side, not realizing the economic pain that, the country is experiencing right now. So I wonder how tough the medicine will be from cabinet members, or if we won't get any of that tomorrow.
Well, first of all, I take with a huge grain of salt anything reported in the New York Times.
I typically do too. Well, I do too, Jacob.
Yeah, of course.
The only reason I give that one some credibility is because no one really pushed back on that. You know what I mean? From the administration, the narrative kind of stuck. So that I understand your point there, but that's why I give that a little bit more credibility.
Sure. Well, look, these decisions, the president outlined the urgency and the importance and frankly, the achievements that have been made on the other side of Operation Epic Fury. So that is a decision, obviously, he went into owning. And I would say there's a lot of merit and consequence behind that decision. It's put Americans in a much safer position and our global standing in a much firmer place and restored deterrence from the Biden years. All of that is because of the military action that the president has launched in Operation Epic Fury. It's also why I think it's also been a deterrent against Russia, pushing it into that ceasefire earlier this month, and getting into the China meeting too, which depends on that waterway. So I think, there are a lot of, I don't want to read into, obviously the president and his advisors is, it's not for me to weigh into. Those are discrete by design, and there are different options usually weighed and presented. But I do think, look, we're at a point right now, the question is what's next and what does the next step look like? And I think the president put a really important focus on it over the weekend when he said, look, to our Arab partners, you want an arrangement? Well, part of this arrangement should probably be an expansion of the Abraham Accords with you all signing on to it. And of course, you got the reaction that he did, but I think that's the right focus here of bringing this into a broader narrative of what we're trying to achieve in the region and more globally. We're looking for a more stable condition, one that can only be really achieved with Iran on the defensive. And that goes for the Strait of Hormuz as well. This place has been a geopolitical chokehold for decades. Iran has sabotaged us and the American people all these years when it tried to use this waterway for its advantage. Well, all of that is going to be in a more stable place once everything comes to a close. And that, of course, is the hardest part, is to kind of put everything together at the very end.
Yeah, it's hard to have patience, certainly.
And so, but of course, the realities economically at home are certainly real, and what you're alluding.
Yeah, Jacob, great stuff. Thank you so much for the analysis this afternoon. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
A little bit of volume out there on westbound 6440. Hampton out through McCausland. We've got slow-moving traffic southbound 270 from Olive down through Doherty Ferry. Now, 70 westbound looks good out of downtown. There was an accident, though, eastbound near 141, so a little bit of moderate volume there. But westbound 70, just a little slow at Wentzville. And 64, that's got some volume. It's mainly Highway N out through the 70 split. On the Illinois side, eastbound traffic on 64 slows approaching 255 through 157. That is due to road work. This report brought to you by The Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, well, they haven't been at it 100 years, although some of the products that they work with have been around since 100 years ago, like Pella replacement windows. Banner, though, has celebrated 33 years in business now. Banner Construction had the big 30-year anniversary in 2023. I can't believe it's been that long ago since we celebrated that. One of the things that they'll tell you at Banner is the single most important decision that you make as a homeowner is when you're looking at renovation is who you hire, right? So you want a good price. Everybody wants that. But this is your home and your biggest investment. So you have to make sure you don't cut corners in that area. That's why you go with Banner. They're a preferred James Hardie and Pella Windows specialist. Very important to choose experience like Banner, 33 plus years here in the St. Louis area. They'll show you affordable design options that you thought you never had. So Banner knows how much you love your home. Their goal is to make you fall in love with that home again. And you could do it with a call and a free in-home consultation, 314-569-1050. The website, bannerconstruction.com, and have a banner day.
Hey, St. Louis, this is Brian Kilmeade. You know, I always have a great time when I visit you guys, and I'm coming back this November. So join me, Brian Kilmeade, by getting tickets for the show at The Factory at 971talk.com/events.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisor Group, to learn how to create your worry-free retirement. We'll meet June 16th at the Doubletree Hotel in Chesterfield at 6:30. Here are Bob and Tammy with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering how to turn your 401k and IRA into a worry-free retirement? Would you like to learn the strategies that give you market growth but protects you from market losses at the same time?
Would you like to get a free personalized retirement income plan? And did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to create a worry-free retirement? If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Have a worry-free retirement. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the Doubletree Hotel in Chesterfield, Tuesday, June 16th at 6:30. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
So were we just having a recent discussion on skydiving and whether or not any of us would ever do something like that? Yeah. So, you know, my friend Dawn Kendrick, who is, she's someone who worked in media here in St. Louis, and she was in Cleveland for a long time. She's back in the St. Louis area, and she is trying to encourage me to skydive because she's done it a couple of times. And, you know, I've even been open-minded. Years ago, I would tell you that I really, really wanted to do it. And then listeners kind of talked me out of it when I started talking about that. Like, you have a daughter now. You know, I'm like, okay. So then you have a story like this. This would push me in the direction of not doing this. One skydiver was killed, another injured after they collided midair during a jump in Washington State on Saturday. Now, I do think that...
Have you seen the video?
I have not.
Holy
No, I haven't seen the video of
cow.
this. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So you've seen this.
Yeah, you got to look at it. It's...
Do I want to see the video?
Well, yeah, it's okay. But, I mean, imagine if you were her.
Yeah, so it was 5:30 on Saturday. Both skydivers participated in what they called a scheduled group jump organized by, you know, a legit skydiving company. They've been around for a long time. 11 people were involved in the group jump. And this was Ritzville, Washington, about 60 miles southwest of Spokane, right? The skydiver who died was Randy Hubbs.
Okay, wait, I take it back. I haven't seen it. I was talking about there's one with a woman who was skydiving and a plane hit her.
Well, okay, wait. So what happened here is I think the people hit each other, all right?
Oh.
So staff members and the skydiving company and other witnesses said that Hubbs, that's Randy Hubbs who died, appeared to become incapacitated after he and Klein, that was the other skydivers. So this was two skydivers colliding into one another. And then he collides into the other dude, and I don't know if he's knocked out, knocked unconscious, but he was not in control of his parachute. So they're trying to track his movements when he reached 500 feet above ground and he began to drift away from the designated drop zone. Witnesses say that Hubbs appeared to be unresponsive. His head and arms were down, and he disappeared beyond a hill. And they say that weather didn't contribute. So I don't know what happened. I think that's the problem. They don't know exactly what happened. This is a company that's done this for a long time. The Hubs was 70 years old, so he's a little older. Klein, 52, free falling as part of this group jump. The skydive company says that neither was aware of the other's location when they made contact in the air. Klein only suffered a hip injury and is expected to fully recover, but the other dude did not make it. So that's... And again, in reading this story, it still doesn't indicate why, if they do group jumps like this all the time, why was this one a situation where two people ran into one another? You know what I mean?
I know. I don't get it.
I don't either.
It's a good thing you didn't jump out of the plane, though.
Well, maybe I've made my final decision on that, Sue, because it is something that's kind of, fascinated me. But you get up there, and again, I would do it with a tandem, at first.
Right.
But I think what I mentioned before is, this goes back a long time. They have a great state fair in Wisconsin. It's actually in Milwaukee, just outside of Milwaukee. It's where the raceway is, Milwaukee Mile. And it's unusual because, look, we have Sedalia. Most people around St. Louis probably never been to a state fair. I've only been to one in Missouri, and that was when I was working in Columbia, in the J School. It was the only time I've ever been to Sedalia. But Milwaukee's got a really cool state fair because it's an urban state fair, if you will. And they had this ride, and I did this as a bit one time when I was up there in the radio. I took a tape recorder with me. Now we would do this with our cell phones. This was before the era where cell phones could take pictures, if you will. And if they could take pictures, they weren't very good pictures. We're talking early 2000s, if you will. And it was this carnival ride thing. And I can't remember exactly what they called it, but essentially they took you up to the top, and it was like this rubber band thing. And you essentially, on the way back down, had that feeling of free falling. And I kind of liked it. Right.
Wow.
But I thought it was kind of like, once I got over the initial anxiety, because in this situation, if I remember correctly, they kind of shoot you up and you come back down, and then it'd be a couple times, right?
Woo, I could not do it.
I wish I had the audio from this, because there was both fear, laughter, fun, almost pooping yourself. All these things kind of happen at the same time when you do something like that.
That's a lot.
But that was a long time ago, and that's about as long as I've been feeling that I should maybe jump out of an airplane. And maybe, again, this is a situation where it's led me to a different decision. All right, we'll take a break here at the top of the hour. When we come back, I talked a little bit about my Southwest Airlines experience because it was the first time that I flew Southwest on Friday into Las Vegas and then back yesterday with the new seating policy. But I got a couple of the other travel observations that I want to make here. We have Sue doing a Tuesday edition of Sue's News. We're going to get into this City Journal article called The Pipeline Problem That Medical Schools Don't Want to Discuss. Bleske-Rechek, who is a professor of psychology at UW-Eau Claire, we were just mentioning Wisconsin. She's going to join us. Cusumano on this Tuesday because he wasn't here on Monday. And then we'll go down to Houston. Big race between John Cornyn, the incumbent, and this is going to be something that really, will determine whether President Trump put his thumb on the right scale. I think he did. Ken Paxton is his choice. That's the big runoff for who will run against the Democrat Tallarico in the fall. So a lot to talk about there. We'll get to that with Bill King, who's down in Houston. Then, of course, it's Tech Talk Tuesdays. One of the things that I think I'm obligated to ask George Rosenthal when he joins us a little bit later, you see the Pope kind of weighed in here on AI, didn't he?
Yeah, why?
Well, we'll find out. That's coming up at 5:30.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Not a bad commute. Boy, it was super great this morning. Really easy. But this afternoon, we've got a little bit more volume. So southbound 270, slow pockets from Olive down to just south of 44. We've got westbound 40 slowing at Hampton out through McCausland. And then it's slowing again, approaching Highway N out through the 70 split. Earlier accident, eastbound 70 past 141, causing a little bit of a delay through there, but westbound is okay. And on the Illinois side, eastbound 70 slows at 64. Eastbound 64 slow approaching 157. That due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
The new Haverty's Furniture Showroom is now open in Gravois Bluffs. Come visit us now. Ready to refresh your space with furniture that's built to last? The new Haverty's Furniture Showroom is now open in Fenton and Gravois Bluffs. Experience Haverty's regret-free guarantee for yourself and shop the latest in living rooms, bedrooms, and more. Visit Haverty's now in Gravois Bluffs.
I want to spread the good word about Innsbruck, which was voted at one point by St. Louis Magazine as one of the area's best weekend getaways and one of the best public golf courses, even though, it's behind behind a bit of a gate. You can go out there and play golf at Innsbruck at a tee time. It's a public course, but there's so many other things that you can do, and it's very close to St. Louis. It's less than an hour. It's much quieter than the Lake of the Ozarks. There's lots of fishing, hiking. We do a staycation type thing, usually a couple of times a year at Innsbruck, where we do a dog-friendly property, bring the dogs out there. It's a lot of fun. My tip is to rent a golf cart because that makes it real easy to get around, but it really has been one of St. Louis's best-kept secrets for over 50 years now. I remember some friends when I moved here in the early 1980s, some parents of friends that had places at Innsbruck. You know, the A-frames were very popular. They've gone well beyond that. They have property for you to build and buy out there, and a lot of fun things in the summer, including, you know, concerts, a pool at the Lazy River, summer camps, some lots of stuff for the kids, not some things. Lots of stuff for the kids. Innsbruck-resort.com.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-910-2233. That's 800-910-2233. 800-910-2233.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Hours left to vote in Texas. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. It's decision day in the showdown between a longtime Republican senator and his Trump-backed challenger.
Four-term Senator John Cornyn. He is going to fight to survive a major challenge from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who's writing a late endorsement from President Trump. Cornyn running on experience and conservative results, while Paxton has embraced a more hardline Texas-first MAGA message.
Fox's Brooke Taylor in Dallas, the winner of today's runoff to face Democratic State Representative James Tallarico in November. Iran reportedly making a new demand as talks continue on a possible deal with the U.S.
The Secretary of State Marco Rubio out there saying the Strait of Hormuz is going to open one way or another. Iran is saying we'll open the Strait if you take $24 billion in frozen Iranian money and unfreeze it. That is according to Iranian state-run media.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House. President Trump suggesting Iran has to give up its enriched uranium in a post earlier today. Multiple deaths confirmed after a chemical incident in Washington state.
First responders are on scene of a chemical implosion at Nippon Dinaware facility, a pulp and paper mill in Longview, just north of Portland, where we're told a liquid hazmat tank exploded around 7 a.m. local time.
There were multiple critical injuries. We can also confirm there were fatalities related to the incident. At this time, there are also individuals who remain
remain unaccounted for as crews continue the recovery and accountability operations.
Mike Gorsuch, battalion chief with Longview Fire, also saying no evacuations and that there's no threat to the surrounding area, though people are being asked to stay away during the recovery phase as the investigation gets underway.
Fox's Jeff Vanasso. This says thousands remain evacuated in Southern California because of a chemical tank leak at an aerospace facility, though that evacuation zone did shrink as the pressure and temperature in that tank went down. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Plenty of clouds around for evening plans, and there are some showers trying to bubble up from the south, and we could see a couple of showers around, especially St. Louis and points south, not only this evening but overnight, but rainfall should be somewhat limited, but let's not be surprised. 65 for the low. On Wednesday, partly sunny skies, couple of showers, couple of rumbles of thunder around from time to time. A lot of dry time, 83. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
What is it, Tuesday afternoon? Sue will have Sue's News coming up here in just a few minutes. April Bleske-Rechek at the bottom of the hour is going to talk about something that caught my attention in the City Journal about medical schools and what they don't really want to discuss. We'll get to that at 4:30. We have Frank coming up this afternoon, right? Because he was not here yesterday.
Yeah,
we had a best of show for the holiday. And I listened on my way back from the airport. This is a damn good show. You know that? I was listening to it. Good host, good team around the host, all these things. It was kind of nice being in the car yesterday and doing that because I got in. You know, this was weird, too, because the airport, one of the things that I've had trouble with at Lambert, and I kind of call Vegas my second home. My trips were more frequent a few years ago, but I'm used to coming back on that flight and waiting for, my luggage, right? And it was literally at the carousel in Terminal 2. We were the only flight that was coming in yesterday at like 2 o'clock. That surprised me.
That's
like,
weird.
The rest of the airport, the terminal seemed busy, like people were still going out. Maybe it was because it was in the middle of the afternoon and not later in the afternoon, but the luggage came down relatively quickly. But a couple of observations from the flight. And Fred, I don't know if you noticed this. I mentioned in the last hour, this was my first time that I was flying on the new policy. And I picked my aisle seats out well in advance, so I was good. But did you notice, and I don't remember them doing this before, they made a big deal about portable chargers. You remember doing that?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. So I had to look this up because I saw a sign about it, and then the flight attendants mentioned it numerous times. You are not supposed to have a portable charger, like a power bank, in your your luggage. They don't want it all. It says passengers are limited to one portable charger per person. The charger must have a capacity of 100 watt hours or less. Carry on only. Portable chargers are strictly prohibited in checked luggage. By the way, here's something interesting.
Do they catch fire?
Yes, that's it.
Oops.
Okay, I'll get back to my point about checked luggage in a second. You cannot store your portable charger in an overhead bin. What? It must be kept on your person or stored in a carry-on or personal item directly under the seat in front of you. Who knew? Now, I don't have a portable charger. My wife does, but I didn't realize they were such a risk. In-flight recharging. Listen to this. You are not allowed. What the hell is the point of the charger?
Well,
you're not allowed to plug in your portable charger into the plane's in-seat power outlets to recharge it. For further details, check the full Traveling with Lithium Batteries, Chargers, E-cigs, and Lighters guide. on Southwest. But when I Googled this, it was, this is new too. I think it's a newer policy that they have announced, and it just kind of threw me off because I wasn't familiar with it.
Part of what people have been complaining about is trying to move seats on Southwest. Was your flight
well,
full?
It was. So I was curious about that as well, but we were completely full. I mean, they kept begging people to, check luggage. And here's, by the way, here's my recommendation. If they're going to charge you for the bag, don't check it. Go to the gate, and they'll say, hey, we'll check it for free.
That's what my son does every time.
Yeah, why not?
Seriously?
Yep.
Oh, well,
Yeah, because they're
that's a tip.
offering. I mean, I might do that because they're offering. Hey, we'll do it for free because we're gonna make it easier on everyone. I thought that was interesting. Okay, here's a little airport pricing quiz for you guys. You ready?
Ooh.
So I get yesterday to. They used to call it McCarran's. Now Harry Reid, named after the late United States Senator from Nevada, and I really hadn't had anything to eat because we rushed out. I had a couple of my Diet Cokes, as you might imagine. So I get there, and I wanted to get something. I like a little sweet, you guys. You know that in the morning.
Yeah.
So the only place I could find anything that had like a pastry or anything was Starbucks. And I don't drink coffee, but I waited in line, and I got my little blueberry muffin, right? But then I wanted a Diet Coke, and I go to like Hudson's News, they have those.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a 20-ounce bottle of Diet Coke. Now, I don't like bottles, but they won't let you take the cans in there, right? So what would the price of a 20-ounce bottle of Diet Coke be at the airport, would you think?
That's a good question. Fred, you want to go first?
Just this, not the blueberry muffin.
No, just the Diet Coke,
Coke.
because I bought the Diet Coke at a separate store. Just the Diet Coke. What do you think here?
$8.99.
Oh, that's a good guess.
Oh, you went high. 20 ounces.
You can't
That's
go
it.
that.
Just 20 ounces.
I'm going to say, well, if he went high, then I'm going to say $6.
It was like $5.73.
Yeah, that's
with taxes and everything.
wowza.
For a 20-ounce,
Jeez.
bottle. So then,
Wait a minute.
got my, what did I get here? Got some Teddy Grahams, right?
Teddy
I'm
Graham,
thinking.
which, by the way, you would never eat except at the airport.
No, that's not true. I would. I like
as
them.
I said,
Yeah, well,
you would eat it anywhere.
Most people wouldn't, but I like them going back to when Alexa, and she doesn't even eat them that much anymore, but when she was a kid, she would eat them. I love Teddy Grahams, right?
Oh.
These were mini Teddy Grahams. How much were these bad boys?
I have, you know what? I haven't priced a
let's see
Teddy
here.
Graham
It's an
lately.
8-ounce bag of Teddy Grahams.
Okay, I'm
made
gonna
with,
go
made with real honey, just so you know.
$8.99. That's my
It was
answer for
like
everything.
almost $9, Fred.
Oh,
It was almost $9
Way to go,
for this.
Fred. I'm giving that to
And I'm
you.
thinking, what? I mean, things have just gotten crazy. And I get that the airport prices, you're always going to have, higher. But come on, $6 for a 20-ounce bottle of Diet Coke? I'm the
Wow.
idiot that bought it, right?
Wait, you guys, on this whole thing that you check the bag at the last minute, does that mean it could fit in the overhead? And
It's gonna have
they're
to
just
right.
So it's got to be that size.
It's got to be that size.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can't roll your big like I did.
Honking one
I
down
did
there
bring a
and
pretty big. See, I always check because honest to God, even if I have a smaller bag, I don't like being that person that's trying to find space in the overhead bin.
Yeah, it's
And then if
terrible,
you don't get in
terrible.
there on, like if you were in a late boarding group on my flights and you had luggage, you couldn't find a spot,
Yeah.
And then you got people putting the carry-on bag up in a bin where they're nowhere close to sitting, and then you have to hand it back. Like you're crowd surfing or something like that with a piece of luggage back to the person who needs it.
Wait, so you don't do the whole A, B, C? Do you just, how do they
have
seat you?
all right. So it was group 1 through 6, I think.
Oh, wait, so they still do that?
Yeah, but they don't. But they don't say group. Yeah, sort of. But it's based on where.
Where
I'm
you've already
confused by it
perched the
because
What?
again, most of the this is what's weird. So again, I had 60 and 90. So my boarding position was the same. It was 1. Okay, but they do the pre-boarding. And then they do the A list, and then they get to 1. So they have point 0A, point 0B, and then they have 1. And seemingly 1 is the front part of the plane, all right? The first 10 rows, if you will.
Okay.
And then they go on from there. And they finally, at one point, I don't know what happened on our flight out there, but they had stopped boarding people, and no one was coming on the plane. And then they asked for some people that were in the back of the plane, and they raised their hand. And those people got off the plane. They just walked off the plane. So I don't know if they were on the wrong flight or what happened.
Salt
but it
Lake
was
City.
weird. Well, yeah,
Wait.
because they originally said we were going to Salt Lake City.
If
but
you have an assigned seat,
Uh-huh.
what's the 1?
it's just your boarding group.
Oh, so they still do boarding groups. You've just
Yes.
picked out your seat in advance?
Exactly. Yeah,
Well, that's kinda
you're not
dumb.
all getting on at the same time,
Okay.
which you kind of do with. Well, maybe you don't. Like American, they do boarding groups, right?
I don't remember. It's been a long time since I flew anything but Southwest.
All I know is it worked out fine for me because I got my aisle seat, and I was really that's my whole hang up is I want to make sure I get the aisle seat so I don't disturb anyone when I have to use the restroom like 30 times. Really, it's only twice, but I still don't like to get up and bother people.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. I put something up. I have this great Wheel of Fortune study that I may or may not get to you this afternoon, but I don't want to rush through that. But I did want to point out one of my tweets that I just put up this afternoon because it just kind of makes you go, wait, what was happening here? So there was a U-Haul. I'm pretty sure that there's actually two tweets I want to mention here. There's a U-Haul that it's like a big U-Haul truck that's got kind of on the back of it a trailer that has those pod-looking things. U-Haul must have pods as well, right? So it hits a tree at some point, and the tree branches are stuck in the middle of where the end of the truck is and where the trailer is for the pods, if you will. And the dude driving it is just rolling down a street in Los Angeles, hitting car after car because the tree branch was twice the size of the truck. So the truck's going in between traffic, but the tree branch is taking, it was a huge branch, and it's taking cars off. Witnesses say about 15 to 20 parked cars were damaged. Now, I had a listener that said, hey, what's the chance the guy even was English and was here legally? I think that's a valid question, right? Because it's just one of those things. All right, then another, since I'm on the tweet highlight, let me highlight a couple other things. Graham Linehan, who is the comedian overseas that got in trouble, just as a brief reminder, because he tweeted something that was offensive, and they take that very seriously over there. It's just ridiculous. The Daily Mail had a tweet that said, YMCA in Liberal City finally cracks down with new rules after trans woman exposed pre-op privates in a female locker room. Graham's tweet was, interesting way of writing his penis. And they said pre-op privates. And that's his penis. And then finally, and soon, Fred, you'll love this, okay? But I have to do this as a warning and as a cautionary tale to the listeners. At the top of the hour, I found this video that was adorable. It was a golden retriever. There were two babies that were crying. They looked like a set of twins. And this golden retriever drags in one of her puppies, places it between the babies, and then puts a little toy stuffed Woody doll next to the kids and puts her chin, or his chin, right on the puppy. It's adorable. The problem is it's
AI.
fake. It's AI. And, what I said is I love this stuff, but it's fake. And these are becoming harder and harder because my first response was, oh, my gosh, that warms my heart. We love our animal stuff. It's adorable. But I'm just telling you, I think 90% of the stuff that we see that we think is cute is AI.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is some volume on southbound 270 at this hour, and it stretches from Olive down through Big Bend. We've got 141 pretty slow, especially between Gravois and 21. Now, westbound 70 is fine out of downtown, a little bit slow at Wentzville. Eastbound 70 jams east of Warrenton to a point just before Wright City. And on the Illinois side, Route 3 is jammed in both directions at Monsanto Avenue, a slow-moving train there. And eastbound 70 slow, headed for 64. 64 eastbound is jammed from 111 to 157. That is also due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We got Sue's News on a Tuesday post-holiday coming up.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-948-7878. That's 800-948-7878.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh Radner, and I am so excited to tell you about How We Made Your Mother, a rewatch podcast looking back at How I Met Your Mother. And I'm here with Craig Thomas, who co-created the show along with Carter Bays. Hi, Craig.
Hey, Josh. Somehow it has been 20 years since the show premiered. I'm going to check the math on that. 10 years since it went off the air, and we thought that made this a perfect time to look back, see what the hell we did, and why the show still seems to resonate with fans around the world today.
Follow and listen to How We Made Your Mother wherever you get your podcasts.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
All right, Tuesday afternoon, we still have a conversation coming up about a very strange situation with medical schools. I have a guest from the City Journal coming up here at 4:30. We got Cusumano this hour, too, because yesterday was a holiday. On this Tuesday, let's do this edition of Sue's News.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Well, I would like to welcome you to National Paper Airplane Day. When was the last time you made one, Fred?
You know, I'm awful at that. Even as a kid, I couldn't make a good paper airplane.
I'm with Fred. I was never very good at it, but I did do it. But boy, it's probably been a long time since I've tried it.
Gosh.
Do kids even do that anymore?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask.
I'm going to have to ask Alexa.
I think we should try one tomorrow and see who could make the best one.
Well,
don't look it up tonight.
I guarantee it won't be me.
Well, I don't think it'll be any of us.
Here's what I can tell you, Sue. I could look it up tonight. I could practice for probably 2 hours, and I'd still be the worst.
Fred, you couldn't beat that? That sounds terrible.
I'm as bad as Mark.
Okay, good.
Okay, fair.
Well, I mean, but Fred and I say this from a viewpoint of what some people are really good at.
Oh, no,
they
are
really
good,
tight little planes that
the thing
fly.
I remember, some people would put like a paper clip on the nose of it.
Oh yeah, for the weighting.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cheating a little bit, yeah.
I was going to say I'm bad, but listening to you two, perhaps I'm adequate. It's also National Blueberry Cheesecake Day. Oh, it looked so good. Slice of cheesecake with the blueberry and the blueberry sauce.
Sounds good.
Oh, that sounds really good. On this day in history, 100 years ago, in 1926, Miles Davis was born in Alton, Illinois. Then, of course, he eventually moved to East St. Louis, and when he was 13, he took up the trumpet. It's pretty amazing. Miles Davis, it's his 100th birthday today.
In honor of that, they have I don't know how long they're going to keep it, but they have a Miles Davis station dedicated on Sirius XM right now. I actually heard them talking about it yesterday. I was going to check it out.
That. And 33 years ago today, it was 1993, and Cleveland's Carlos Martinez hit a fly ball that bounced off outfielder Jose Canseco's head and over the right field wall for a home run. Do you remember that? It might be worth Googling. It actually hit a home run by hitting Canseco's head and going over the right field. It's kind of funny.
Crazy. Do you remember that, Fred?
I do.
I'd have to look at the video, I'm sure.
Fred, do you have the paper from that
No,
time?
I don't. I don't have that one.
All right. And 32 years ago today, this is so gross. In 1994, Bob Barker admitted to caressing the breasts of Price is Right model Diane Parkinson. But he said, no, you know what? I deny your charge that I sexually harassed you. What? Okay, so we were not defining that.
He brushed by the boob, and that was
caressed
not a
it.
Well, okay.
That's it, caress.
Look, this is a. I'm not giving permission to Bob, but this is a generational thing.
Oh,
you know.
When is that ever appropriate?
Well, it's not, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
People would get away with it
and
for
then
the
he'd
longest
say,
time. Look, I remember, I've told this story before. I remember being in a bar in Columbia, Missouri. This is back in my drinking days in, 88 or 89. And Woody Woodenhofer, who was one of the worst football coaches on the planet, was in this bar that it was at, Spanky's at the Holiday Inn Executive Center. And what's his name? Barry Switzer from Oklahoma. They were both together. And I witnessed them squeezing women's asses and stuff like that. I'm like, what in the world is going on? But so stuff, I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm just saying
it's of
unfortunately, there are people that don't look at it in a way that you probably should.
Apparently he did not.
Right.
And also on this day in history, 32 years ago is when Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley got married, and we all were like, what? And they decided to get divorced 20 months later, citing irreconcilable differences. I have seen interviews with her, though, and she said, nope, it was real. I mean, it wasn't a fake thing. We actually got married and had a relationship. Okay. And I thought, Mark, you might like this. Billy Idol received the Lifetime Achievement Award at last night's American Music Awards. Then he closed the show with Eyes Without a Face and Dancing with Myself. Here's part of that.
Oh, I got to watch that. I was unaware. I think this is a bit of a comeback year for Billy. He's coming to St. Louis in the fall. I really want to get our friend Tim Summer,
Yes.
who is close with Billy. Billy's actually agreed to write a blurb for Tim's latest book, which is coming out later this year. But that's cool. Now, did you see the winners and all that from last night?
I did not care.
Okay, album of the year was Sabrina Carpenter, Man's Best Friend. My daughter would probably agree with that. The song of the year was Golden by Hunter and X. I don't even know what that is, so I can't really help you with that one. The best new artist of the year was Cat's Eye. Never heard of them.
Nope.
Actually, let's see here. You know who was in Vegas over the weekend? And it was
Will I-
really busy.
X?
BTS.
Oh,
no,
BTS.
BTS was there, and they won something.
They won
last
something
night as
big.
well. Yeah.
Like-
they were one of the big winners last night.
I did
so.
see that, and I know who they are, so I was like,
Sue,
ooh, something.
They had people in line for 15 hours outside of Allegiant Stadium just to wait for the merch.
Oh, my
Yeah, album of the
gosh.
year was BTS. Yeah, they'd line up in the morning. The concert wasn't until that night, but they'd want to get in line for the merch.
Wow.
For BTS.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane because you had all kinds of things. The Jonas Brothers, BTS, Nikki Glaser, David Spade.
Wow.
You had No Doubt. So the strip was a bumping over the weekend.
Well, The Mandalorian and Grogu won the Memorial Day box office with a solid $100 million. And yet, depending on the final numbers, it could still end up being the worst opening for a Star Wars movie in the Disney era.
Yeah, that's a bad number for
Yeah.
Star Wars. It's probably a decent number for most movies, but not for Star Wars. You would want that to be almost doubled, probably.
I would think. And
so
then
the reviews have been that it's just more, catering to the little
that's
kids.
what I've heard,
Yeah.
right? They also say that horror movie Obsession came in second. It was its second time out, but that I guess there was really nothing but Star Wars. All right, and Jack Osborne would like the haters to know that his dad, Ozzy, approved of the idea of living on in digital form for future concert experiences. Here's what Jack said last Friday.
It's going to be so tasteful what we're doing. It's not going to be lame. And it's really complex what we're doing. This isn't just like hooking up an image of my dad to ChatGPT. This is some like high level technology that we're going to be working with. And it's going to feel very real. Like it's really cool. And it's something that I think my dad would be into because we actually talked about it before he passed. And so, yeah, I know he'd be into this.
I can see that. Look, some of the stuff is going to be really, really interesting moving forward.
It
to see
is.
how I remember being at a show. I can't remember if it was Keith Urban, but it was someone who did a duet with Carrie Underwood. And at one point, and if you were...
He did do one. It could be
right.
him.
So what would happen is that Carrie came out as a hologram. And it was a pretty decent-looking hologram, and the drunk people thought it was her. I remember people, oh, Carrie's here.
Oh, my
no, it's an
gosh.
image. But my point is, that was probably 6 or 7 years ago.
Ooh.
And with a little alcohol in you, it probably did look real. So I can't imagine what the technology is going to be like.
Yeah, and somehow, I don't know, I trust Jack. And at least they asked Ozzy before he passed and had the conversation.
Well, he says they did.
Well.
But I can see that.
I can too. Since it's kind of the end of people coming home, well, it's not the end of people coming home for college, but the end of the school year, and people are leaving college. They've got an article out about people who go dumpster diving around college campuses. They say the idea is that when students move out for the year, they're ditching valuable furniture, clothing, electronics, appliances, and if you go to like a high-end school, you can really strike it rich.
I believe
thought
that.
this was a
I
stroke
believe
of
it too,
genius.
yeah.
Right.
And they said, especially the expensive colleges, the friends say they make a really good living at it. They've even funded vacations by finding, organizing, cleaning the trash, and then reselling it online. And they don't even need to buy a lot of cleaning supplies because that's another thing. They just toss them out of the dorm, and they're really only used them for a year. They're not in bad shape.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I hadn't heard that, but I thought that was kind of genius.
Very enterprising.
Yes. All right, robots are starting to make clothes. And I wonder if this is going to be one of the first industries. We'll see. But it turns out that handling these soft, flexible fabrics has been a major challenge because, humans and working the machines that stitch, they say that some companies are bypassing the traditional sewing now by using adhesives to assemble shirts. That's not going to work. What would Joyce say, Fred? I mean, is that going to hold up? And couldn't you get a robot that is going to run a sewing machine? I guess not. Maybe they just haven't come that far.
I would think, but wouldn't the sewing machine be the robot?
Well, except you'd have to program it.
You'd have to
and somebody has to feed
material,
it.
all
Yeah.
that, right.
Yeah, just this weekend, Joyce stitched up a hole in one of my shirts.
Did she?
Yeah.
You can't get a robot for that, right?
You can't.
No.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to probably have to save the audio, but Fred gave me this audio. Was it you or Ethan that gave me the audio of the glitch at WWE?
Yeah,
the
I think
AI audio.
George
let me hear.
Okay,
we'll talk about that.
talk
Okay.
about. Well, it's crazy because here I'll let you hear a little bit.
The
of it.
show will happen. The stadium will likely fill up one way or another. What?
Trying to say WWE. She just goes crazy. Yeah, well, I guess that's real. We're gonna talk to George. It's Tech Talk Tuesday, so we'll cover that in about an hour.
Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah.
There's a farm in Massachusetts. This is really the only upside of Jane no longer being here. There's a farm in Massachusetts that sells asparagus ice cream. The farm is called Flavors of Cook Farm. It's a dairy farm, but it's in a town called Hadley, which is known as the asparagus capital of the world. The ice cream is seasonal. It's called Hadley Grass, and it has almonds. The manager of the farm says they've been doing it for a while, but, quote, people will often think it's a joke, like they're for real, but you can order it. And it's usually only available until early June. So if that flips your cheese,
it does not.
You can go on there.
I don't even think the aforementioned Jane Duker would like that. By the way, it made you sound like she was dead. She's not dead.
Oh, no, she's not dead.
Working
Good
elsewhere.
heavens.
Yeah.
I only say that because she'd order it, and then we'd have to try it.
Right, we'd have to try it. No, exactly.
And finally, in Sue's News, we have today's random fact. Steve Jobs chose Apple because he loved apples. But it also works because Apple is ahead of Atari in the phone book, and he used to work at Atari. And Steve Wozniak said he first heard Jobs mention the name when he was bringing back some kind of, quote, Apple Orchard commune. And he was coming back from there, and he said, let's call it Apple.
There you go. All right. Thanks, Sue.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. Cloud storage giant Dropbox is seeing its CEO, Drew Houston, step down from the role, but shifting over to executive chairman. Ashraf Al-Karmi is going from product chief to the CEO role. Houston founded Dropbox nearly 2 decades ago and was the first entrepreneur to take a company from the Y Combinator incubator program to the public market. But its market cap of $6 billion is half of what it was on its first trading day back in 2018. Prices on the sports card market continue to surge, and to that end, a one-of-one Panini card of San Antonio Spurs Victor Wembanyama from his rookie season sold for $5.11 million in a private sale via Fanatics Collect. The price makes it the most spent on a Wembanyama card and the 11th most all-time on any sports card. Wall Street started the week with mixed results. Dow was off 118 points at 50,461. NASDAQ picked up 312. S&P 500 gained 45. That's Your Money Now.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text SPARK to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text SPARK to 215-215. That's SPARK to 215-215. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Guys, how is your energy level these days? Maybe you're vitamin deficient. Maybe you need a little testosterone replacement therapy. I'm going to guide you into an outstanding office visit here in St. Louis with two great locations. Matt Lawrence been raving about Game Day Men's Health out in Chesterfield. He also took over the location in O'Fallon. And he's very proud of both of those clinics because Game Day has been growing across the United States and Canada, more than 400 clinics across North America. And Matt and his team, world-class, great office experience, man cave environment. They have their own pharmacy. They're still offering you a chance to come into the office for a 1-hour visit. They pride themselves on the timetable. They draw some blood within 20 minutes. It's a free visit, by the way. Within 20 minutes, they'll come back with some results, and then they can build a plan around what you're interested in. Maybe it's TRT. Maybe it's peptides and vitamins, medical weight loss, sports injury recovery solutions, and also ED solutions that really, truly work. So Game Day has what they call the Game Day experience, and it's amazing. And guys, take advantage of the 1-hour visit. Book an appointment today. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Find that clinic in either Chesterfield or O'Fallon. Make that office visit appointment, and then they're going to take great care of you, and you don't have to worry about taking a day off work or anything like that. GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Hey, Stewie, I need some cash. I need money. Who doesn't need money? What can you do for me?
You know, and Annie, this is a question people ask all the time. Now, pay attention because this is important. Don't get a home equity line of credit. A home equity line of credit is a credit card in your house. It's typically not a fixed rate, so it's an adjustable. You pay interest only. And there's a short-term opportunity to take the money out, and then later on, it turns into a loan that's a really high interest rate. Cash out refinance. That's the most important thing. Refinance your entire mortgage. Get the best rate that's out there. Give yourself the opportunity to refinance later when the rates drop. A cash out refinance is a little bit higher of a rate than a rate and term refinance. Do the cash out now. Set yourself up for the future and get the best deal out there. Just do me one favor. Don't tell my wife about this because she's going to want all the cash in the world to buy a new car.
Well, if you want to know more, Google the Bagel Loan to find out more information or call my friend Stewie, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
From Troy, Missouri to Troy, Illinois. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, we got Cusumano coming up here in a couple of minutes because we skipped him yesterday. We had a best of show that Ethan put together. Pretty good, too, if I don't say so myself. I was listening to it. This isn't a bad show every once in a while. We'll have, in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll be visiting. We're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on in Texas. Bill King, who's become one of my favorites down there. Bill's just a really cool guy. He is a research fellow at Rice University's Baker Institute, former businessman. He wrote a book called Unapologetically Moderate. They have the big Senate race between Cornyn and Ken Paxton today. So we're going to run that down. Right now, April Bleske-Rechek is with me. She wrote a piece that caught my attention in the City Journal about medical schools and something that they kind of keep secret, want to hide, I think, from a lot of people that are out there that potentially are patients. April, welcome to 97.1 FM Talk in St. Louis. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I've highlighted this a little bit over the years because one thing that comes to mind, and I don't know if I can grab this audio quick enough, but I had this graduation ceremony for medical students at the University of Minnesota. And when they were in this auditorium graduating, the professor, the dean of the medical school, made them all chant all this DEI stuff, committing to race and gender and blah, blah, blah. But really, April, not committing to good healthcare solutions and, quality people and the best in the industry that we should have. And that's kind of what you write about here, because this DEI stuff, even though we've, I think, had some success the last couple of years of pulling back on it, it's still out there, isn't it? In med schools in particular.
Sure is.
So what did you find? What happens? How does this kind of manifest itself at these medical schools, including you kind of took a look at one of the top ones in the country, that's Yale, right?
Well, we didn't look at Yale specifically. What we look at is just medical school matriculants and applicants and how that looks. I mean, you can look at Yale and say what percent of their, graduating students are of a given race if they publicized it. But the AAMC gives you a lot of data about what medical school matriculants and applicants look like. And you can look nationally, right? So people will say, we have an underrepresentation of Black and Hispanic physicians relative to their representation in the population. And most people, I think many people will look at that, particularly if they're really strident fans of DEI, and say that underrepresentation must be due to discrimination, right? And continued hostility and structural, systemic racism, what have you. And we just made the case that if you want to look at those variables or factors that predict the likelihood of making it through medical school, you can go all the way back to high school and look at the students who are taking advanced placement, where we have a relative underrepresentation of Black and Hispanic students and a massive overrepresentation of Asian students, particularly among those who are scoring really well. And when you think about it, I think plenty of your audience might have kids who've taken advanced placement courses in high school and done well on those exams. It's a really unique thing to be able to take 3 or 4 or 5 exams and score a 5 on all of those. So if you put it all together, the likelihood of sure, there are students of every race and ethnic group who perform well, but the absolute numbers of them that are performing really well on one exam, not to mention 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 11, is going to differ substantially by group.
Yeah, and you kind of took a look at AP chemistry in particular, which is one of the
one example.
Yeah, because that really has some stark numbers here when you look at the disparities, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So we have, I can give you the numbers specifically. This is so. At this point in time, like in 2022, these are the most recent data I have from the College Board. I should give them credit because they shared some data with me, not without waiting a long time.
Of course.
Of course. But so Black students are 14% of the general population, of high school age kids. They are 5%. Well, and Asian students are 5% of the population of high school students. Okay. And then when you dig down, you can look at okay, what are the students who are taking the AP exam, right? So they've enrolled in the course and decided to take the exam. 5% of the students who are taking an AP exam are Black and 27% are Asian.
Yes.
And then you can look at the percent who are earning a top score. And there we have a total in 2022 of 108 Black students earning a 5, the top score, and 5,304 Asian students earning a 5. So for every 50 Asian students earning a 5, there's 1 Black student. And to me, this is, granted, it's not a straight line from AP chemistry to graduating from medical school. But the idea is, right, hey, there's some predictive element to these standardized tests that everybody takes on the same day. And when you have a disparity of that degree, at least at that point, it's suggesting I don't think the medical school disparity is all about discrimination.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. But because you're kind of pointing to what happens earlier in the education process as being, part of the or major part of the problem, is there a recommendation on that?
Well, the College Board is trying to do pre-AP courses, right? Like moving backward. To be frank, the disparities that you see in terms of academic achievement and cognitive scores, they show up in kindergarten. They're there in kindergarten, and they just persist, right? It's not that we haven't been working on this problem. That's all we talk about in education. So, of course, we didn't go there in the City Journal paper, and we didn't go there but this is well known among people who study group disparities in cognitive test scores. The differences are there early.
Well, the AP biology one really jumps up. More than 25 high-scoring Asian students for every 1 high-scoring Black student. In AP physics, the ratio is roughly 46-1. I mean, those are big numbers.
Yeah.
That's not on the margins, right?
It's a similar situation in computer science. It's a similar situation in AP macroeconomics. If you're looking at why don't we have more physicists? Why don't we have more financial, corporate CEOs? Right? It's not a straight line from advanced placement to these outcomes, but we see the indicators earlier on. Maybe this is one of the reasons why people don't like standardized tests.
Right. Yeah. Well, so part of this,
shoot the messenger.
part of this, and I don't know if we mentioned this, but your piece is kind of framed around this, judgment by the Department of Justice that the David Geffen School of Medicine, I'm sure he gave a lot of money to UCLA, engaged in racial discrimination in admissions, right? So they've taken a look at that. Your recommendation is good, right? This is time to force that conversation, kind of look at some of this stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And plenty of people have argued we should have been looking at this a long time ago, right? These cases are a long time in coming, I suppose. But
here, listen, because I had my producer pull this audio. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but this is one of those things that kind of put me back on my heels when I heard it, because you can hear these kids. And my guess, April, is that a lot of these students are just like, okay, let's just get on with my career. I've dedicated this portion of my life to studying medicine. It's a passion. And then the dean at the University of Minnesota does this.
We commit to uprooting the legacy and perpetuation of structural violence deeply embedded within the healthcare system. We recognize inequities built by past and present traumas rooted in white supremacy.
Okay, so it goes on from there.
Wow.
It goes on. And see, that is not isolated. This is what they're doing at these universities. So they're placing more prominence on, the color of people's skins than their qualifications to be physicians of all things. It's stunning to me. It really is.
I would offer you, you can go to the American Association, what is it? I just think of it as AAMC website. But let me give you, in 2025, okay, the applicants and the matriculants, right? So we can just look at those who get accepted into medical school, okay? So 7% of them are Black. They were 9% of applicants, and 7% are matriculating. And their mean MCAT score is 507. And Asian students, 28% get in. Their mean MCAT score is 514.3. Now, you may think that that's not a very big difference, but the standard deviation is 6 to 7, depending on which group you're looking at, which means they are a full standard deviation apart, if not more. And what that means is that if you pull and this is why people get so concerned about mismatch, if you pull out of the medical school, students, first-year students, you pull one Black student and one Asian student out of a hat repeatedly, right? 80% of the time, the one who's done better is the Asian student, and the one who is likely to fare better in school is the Asian student.
It is what it is. Yeah, the numbers are real. That's right. Thank you so much for writing about this, April. I appreciate you coming on here at 97.1 FM Talk in St. Louis.
Yeah, thanks. Have a great day.
Take care. Cusumano's coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a jam on eastbound 70 east of Warrenton, and it's in the construction zone there. So kind of halfway between Warrenton and Wright City, it is a slow go. Now, westbound 70 out of downtown, just a little bit, it's fine in the city, but it's a little bit slow at 141. 64 is lined up approaching Hampton out through McCausland. Some moderate volume at Boone's Crossing and Highway N. Eastbound slows at 270. And then again at 170. Now, southbound 270, it's mainly moderate volume, but it stretches from Olive in pockets down through 44. Southbound 141 is slowing as you approach 21. 55 is in pretty good shape. But on the Illinois side, road work causing delays. Eastbound 70 at 64. Eastbound 64 between 111 and 157. That also due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, St. Louis, this is Brian Kilmeade. I always have a great time when I visit you guys, and I'm coming back this November. So join me, Brian Kilmeade, by getting tickets for the show at The Factory at 971talk.com/events.
Mark Cox here. Bring your home back to life with Zero Res. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean right now, starting at just $139, and whole home air duct cleaning starting at just $599. Visit ZeroResSTL.com and tell them 97.1 sent you.
I'm fixing to tell you something that the insurance industry does not want you to ever hear. Bullies often delay and deny. I see them sitting on premiums paid and making money and dragging it out for as long as they can. Many times, we're forced to take them to court. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Their high-paid lobbyists are on a mission to make sure that at trial, jurors are not allowed to learn that the at-fault party has insurance, and in some cases, lots of it. I can think of no case in all my years where there was no insurance for the at-fault party. So let's fight back. It's all these bullies understand. Tell everybody you know the truth. If you've been injured in a car crash or hurt at a store or business, visit forthepeople.com. We're here 24/7. It's that easy. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. In 2026, our agency celebrates a momentous occasion as we celebrate 65 years of service to our clients, a tribute to our founder and my dad, Nor Butts. Our staff is ready to assist you with all your insurance needs. So please call me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com. For auto, home, and commercial insurance needs, that's crawfordbutts.com.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. With a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis conservative.
It's a Tuesday, but that doesn't matter because yesterday was a holiday. KSDK's Frank Cusumano with us this afternoon for a little sports chat. How are you this afternoon, Frank?
Great to be with you. Doing well.
I'm back. I am back from Las Vegas, where I had two friends that are going to be at Game 4 tonight. What a game a couple of nights ago. I'm going to start with the NHL just because I kind of got caught up into the excitement. But they go down 3-0. My friends have season tickets. They decided to skip out and go with me, their guest, to the Sphere to see No Doubt on Sunday night. And that looked like a pretty good decision. It was 3-0 in the first period, but the Golden Knights came back and won that game, and they could sweep this series against the Avs, Frank.
It's really astounding because everybody that knows the game thought Colorado was not only going to win the West, but probably the Stanley Cup. And then to think, okay, they figured it out. They're up 3-0. They're going to get back in this thing. And then wham. I mean, it is really one of the more stunning things the NHL has seen in a while.
And for those of you who are St. Louis Blues fans and track the players, Barbashev is having a hell of a series with the Golden Knights right now. So I'm a part-time Golden Knights fan just because I spend so much time out there. Yes, Ethan. Wait. You got to turn your mic on there. You still didn't do that. You got to turn your mic on.
My mic is
there
on.
We go. All right.
Important to remember also that how deep the Colorado Avalanche goes impacts the Blues as well because they have one of their draft picks.
Oh.
So if the Avalanche were to lose this round, the Blues will get a pick a little bit early, a couple of slots, rather than if they win the Stanley Cup.
So it was a weird weekend for the Cardinals because they get rained out in Cincinnati on Friday. They got the doubleheader, just kind of like a good old-fashioned twilight doubleheader on Saturday. They win the first game in dramatic fashion. They drop the second one. That was a fun game, even though they lost it. But then they get rained out yesterday. So now you got the Cubs and Milwaukee this week, right? Milwaukee started last night.
Yeah, I tell you, the Mizorowski performance was magnificent. Mark, I don't know if you saw the stat, but he threw 57 pitches, 100 miles an hour or over. And it's interesting because last night they brought in Bryson Motts, and a few years ago at the draft, the Cardinals had a chance to pick Jacob Mizorowski, who played his college baseball at Crowder Community College in the small town of Missouri, and they went with Mott instead of Mizorowski. Now, look, that happens all the time in baseball. But anyway, I don't know if we've ever seen an arm like this. I'm not saying he's the greatest pitcher of all time, but this is like Nolan Ryan, Bob Feller-esque.
And how long can that last where he just doesn't blow his arm out?
Well, he's going to have Tommy John surgery.
Eventually.
I mean, I would bet my kids' health and safety that one day Jacob Mizorowski is going to have Tommy John. Guys that throw that hard have it. And like guys that don't throw that hard have it like 40% of the time. So, but you got to enjoy it now because it was really cool to see.
I want to talk, Frank, about Brian Torres, the other Cardinal that made his debut to this past weekend, going 2 for 4 with the home run, his first major league career hit as well, and he's been in the lineup every day since. What a cool story, waiting until the age of 28 years old to make his debut, and he certainly did not waste any time in those first couple of games.
Yeah, even I thought that the Tarps Off story would be like the best story of the summer. It isn't. It's this kid, Brian Torres, because when you play nearly 1,000 games, after you've drafted 11 years ago, and you have to wait until a Saturday in Cincinnati to get that first hit, to get that first Major League game. And for him to play as well as he did, he was on base 5 times. He had 2 hits and a home run. The family was there. This is really a cool story, and he's a real humble guy. I'll tell you what, they desperately need him too, because let's face it, like 5 through 9 in that batting order are not getting it done, and I think we're going to see some changes. As we speak right now, Lars Nootbaar is in Springfield. I think he'll be playing for the Cardinals this weekend against the Cubs. And I think Jimmy Crooks is going to be here sometime pretty soon. And then you keep Brian Torres in the lineup. That has a chance to improve those 3 spots.
Ethan and I were talking about this. Look, if you can get out of this week kind of with a split against the Brewers and the Cubs, get back home here, and maybe, I think you still have Texas is coming next week, I think. And then the Brewers and Cubs aren't too far behind that coming back to St. Louis. So, a lot of good things still happening. And to your point, I think the lineup changes will be interesting. How about, and this is a visual thing, you almost can't do it justice on the radio. I didn't see the race, but when I got on my airplane in Vegas, I watched the highlights of the end of the Indy 500. Oh my God, was that a thrilling finish yesterday in Indianapolis?
Yeah, I think, look, I haven't seen them all, but, statistically, it was the closest finish in history, like 0.002 seconds. And for Rosenquist to make that move late like that, that was just thrilling drama. I don't know if I ever watched the race like from start to finish like I did that day, but you had like Caitlin Clark, you had Kurt Signetti before the race, and then you had this finish. And it was high drama. There's a reason why 350,000 show up every year at the Brickyard.
Yeah, look, it's always kind of been on my bucket list. I've never done it because I used to go to the Kentucky Derby, and it was never financially realistic to do both within like a month of one another. But that was a hell of a finish last night. Frank, enjoy. I think you might be on a trip right now. Enjoy that. We'll talk later in the week.
Okay, sounds great. Have a good one.
That is Frank Cusumano, sports director of KSTK. Ethan, so I don't know if you saw this. You like racing. I think you're more into racing than we are.
Yeah.
But that final lap yesterday by this guy that wins the Indianapolis 500, he goes from 3rd to 1st. So here's a little audio from his car.
You kind of practice it in your head through your whole life, really. I think all of us who had the luxury of competing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Indy 500, we think about that last lap a lot, and normally it never happens the way it did there. Normally you would pass on the back straight and then kind of hold the lead to the finish. So this was that's why I actually didn't think I was going to get it.
Because it was a late move, and it worked.
Here comes Rosenquist, Malukas defends. Who has it? Over the line. Who's it going to be? It's Rosenquist. It's Rosenquist.
Oh my goodness! Winning the 500. We joked about it in the beginning. It's like, oh, maybe you'll win the 500 and have a baby. And yeah, it's just unreal.
So that's kind of fun because I don't follow racing enough to know who the prohibitive favorites are and stuff like that. But it sounds like he wasn't exactly one of the favorites, right?
I don't think so. I am actually not an IndyCar follower, but I watched the ending because they said it was so incredible. And it's totally worth Googling.
And not to speaking on the subject of racing, boy, did NASCAR do such a phenomenal job this weekend
over the weekend,
honoring Kyle Busch. All of the ceremonies and everything, on Friday night, on Saturday. I haven't been a NASCAR fan for a long time, but it was very entertaining to watch all that. They did such a good job.
It was
honoring
moving.
him and his family.
And they took a moment at the 500 as well for Kyle Busch. But yeah, that's that story. So, and we haven't been on the air since. Well, I haven't been on the air since last Thursday, but there was more information, obviously, over the weekend that came out about that, where it was pneumonia that turned into something bad, sepsis. Now, here's something I didn't realize. Like, I just got this, and I don't know if it's coincidental or not, but I got a text message today from Mercy saying that you're due for your pneumonia vaccine. I didn't even know there was a pneumonia vaccine, but I thought of it in connection with the Kyle Busch story, and I don't know if they're just pushing that out because it's a good thing. But did you know there was a pneumonia vaccine?
Not.
No, I did not know that either.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Heavy traffic east of Warrenton on eastbound 70, and then things open up headed for Wright City. Westbound 70 out of downtown, a little bit of volume at Jennings Station Road and at 141. 64, that's more like Kings Highway out through McCausland. And eastbound is slowing at Big Bend. Westbound slows again at Boone's Crossing, and then you get a break and a little bit of volume out at Highway N. Now, the southbound 270 slow pockets approaching Olive down through Gravois are pretty good, but 55 looks great. No delays at all out of downtown. There is an accident reported on 255 westbound on the JB Bridge, so expect some volume there. We're fine on the Poplar Street Bridge if you're headed into Illinois. 70 eastbound, though, slowing at 64. 64 eastbound jams approaching 157. This report is brought to you by i3 Broadband. Spring is here. Toss out the dusty treadmill and your laggy cable internet. Upgrade to 100% in-home fiber from i3 Broadband. It's their longest price guarantee ever on their gig speed internet services. No data caps, just pure speed. Go to i3broadband.com/radio. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Thank you, Sue. We have Tech Talk Tuesdays with George Rosenthal coming up here in the next hour. Also, Bill King down in Houston. Big race today between John Cornyn and the Trump-backed challenger, the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton. So that's coming up. Let me guide you into a way to find some new flooring that is right for your lifestyle and for your family. And I would suggest that maybe doing just a little bit of homework online at Michael's Flooring Outlet website. It's either michaelsflooringoutlet.com or igotfloor.com. You can get there in two different ways. I always recommend, though, going to that page, clicking on the tab that says Inspiration. Now, you can do two things there. You can visualize your room. You can upload a picture with some of the products and match them up. Or you can just get started by seeing, the different galleries that they have. And you can still do the same thing where you match up a picture from your living room or wherever you're doing the carpet change. Well, they have a carpet gallery, a hardwood gallery, a laminate gallery, a tile gallery, a luxury vinyl gallery, and a vinyl gallery, and they're going to take great care of you. By the way, for your bathrooms, they have glass tile and stone. You can request an estimate right online or go into one of the three locations, Old Town St. Peters, Darden Prairie, and in West County on Olive. The website, igotfloor.com. They're open every day except for Sunday. Tell them that I sent you in, Michael's Flooring Outlet.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsley, and this is the sound of our attorneys walking into court. Because when an insurance company offers a lowball settlement, we go to trial, prepping endlessly, interviewing witnesses. We know the loss and the cost of an accident, and when it's needed, we go to war for you and take the fight to the insurance company, because we've been in your shoes. Kaufman Townsley, real people, real results. Call 314-777-7777.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, Dad, what causes drains to clog?
Grease, hair, soap scum, and tree roots.
Tree roots?
This town has old pipes and big trees. They find each other.
They grow inside pipes?
They bust into pipes.
Whoa.
Once they're in, the water stops flowing.
Can we fix it?
The big green grasser machine can fix any clog.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
A cabinet meeting is coming. I'm Tom Graham, Fox News. President Trump convening a rare cabinet meeting tomorrow as pressure grows to make a peace deal with Iran. They'll gather. The meeting comes after the Pentagon launched fresh strikes against Iran.
We do know overnight the United States
conducted airstrikes against southern Iran near the Strait of Hormuz and the city of Bandar Abbas. CENTCOM says these strikes were defensive in nature and targeted mine-laying vessels along with a surface-to-air missile position. These were the first U.S. strikes that have targeted Iran since early May. A spokesperson for Iran's armed forces said any new aggression will be met with a far more severe response. The strikes do come amid the backdrop of ongoing diplomatic efforts to reach an agreement between Iran and the United States.
Fox's Trey Yanks in Tel Aviv. How much influence does President Trump have over his party's primaries? Voters in Texas today hitting the ballot box with a key GOP showdown underway. Senator John Cornyn seeking re-election but faces a challenge from Trump-backed candidate Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton.
Tonight is going to be a good old-fashioned Texas showdown here, and also really a test of President Trump's influence and the strength of the MAGA base. So four-term Senator John Cornyn, he is going to fight to survive a major challenge from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who's writing a late endorsement from President Trump. Cornyn running on experience and conservative results, while Paxton has embraced a more hardline Texas-first MAGA message. President Trump calling Paxton a, quote, true MAGA warrior who has always delivered for Texas.
Fox's Brooke Taylor in Dallas. U.S. consumer confidence declining slightly this month, according to the Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index. On Wall Street, stocks finishing mixed. The Dow falling 188 points. The Nasdaq gaining 312. S&P added nearly 46. America is listening to Fox News.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
My dad passed away unexpectedly. Of course, it was awful in every way, but we are very grateful that he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still able to provide for us. And that's why I have life insurance for my family. Ethos.com. They make it fast and easy to get covered. It's 100% online. You get a quote in seconds, and you can apply in minutes. You get covered the same day.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required. Rates may vary.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Plenty of clouds around for evening plans, and there are some showers trying to bubble up from the south, and we could see a couple of showers around, especially St. Louis and points south, not only this evening but overnight, but rainfall should be somewhat limited, but let's not be surprised. 65 for the low. On Wednesday, partly sunny skies, couple of showers, couple of rumbles of thunder around from time to time. A lot of dry time, 83. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
We're going to have Tech Talk Tuesdays with George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet in just a bit at the bottom of the hour. I don't know how many people have heard about this, and we'll bring it up with George, but Pope Leo has issued the first major theological text of his papacy warning about the growing power of AI, which I think he's right on point with this. This was something that he released yesterday. It was a 42,000-word paper that was called Magnifica Humanitas, probably not pronouncing that right. It's the most sweeping statement yet on the promises and the dangers of AI. And he's spoken, I think, a lot about AI in the last year. And I think I'm on the Pope's side on this particular issue. But we'll find out from George here at the bottom of the hour. Big election day in Texas. John Cornyn, who is the establishment Republican trying to be reelected to go back to the Senate. He is not Trump's favorite, though. Trump ended up weighing in, and he put his thumb on the scale and endorsed Ken Paxton, the AG. Here is John Cornyn.
I understand he's made his choice, but political trends come and go, and President Trump is certainly very influential and in the Republican Party, particularly the runoff. But the truth is, I've been, an ally of the president, so there's no incompatibility there. And I think my experience gives me a chance to do things for the president and for Texans that a newbie could not do.
All right, so I guess that's part of his pitch to Texas voters. Ken Paxton, who now I guess would certainly be the favorite, says
he did not want the border wall. Now, supposedly in his new campaign, he's for it. But for the last couple of decades, he's been against it. He's pushed amnesty. He helped Joe Biden basically pass the most restrictive Second Amendment bill in maybe decades. So there are many things that John is running on now that are so different from how he's governed, and it's time for a change in Texas.
This is anecdotal. I don't know if this will manifest itself, but listen to this. This is two different people who are voting today, and they interpreted the Trump endorsement in different ways.
I want you to take a listen to two voters that we spoke to earlier today who were both swayed by President Trump's endorsement of Paxton, but in different ways.
I was torn because I was going to go with Cornyn. But when Trump backed, and I like who he backs, and so I went Republican.
So the president's endorsement was the deciding factor for you?
Yeah, it was.
I made one vote, and that was for Cornyn.
And why is that?
Primarily because he's not supported by Trump.
Oh, so President Trump's decision to endorse Paxton went against
Absolutely.
him. And why is that?
I think he's ruined my Republican Party. I think he's divided America. I think he's bad news. And I still lean Republican, so I voted for Cornyn.
You do have Republicans who are alienated from Trump. There's no doubt about that. But when he puts, an endorsement into the mix, it usually works in his favor. Bill King is a research fellow at Rice University's Baker Institute. He wrote a book called Unapologetically Moderate. He's keeping track of that U.S. Senate runoff. Bill, welcome back. How are you on this day after Memorial Day?
Thanks. I'm really glad to be here. I thought for sure you were calling about the no-hitter the Astros threw last night.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't even know they had one. Did they have a no-hitter?
They
had to be the first of the year, right?
24. First since 2024. I thought for sure you were calling to congratulate me.
Well, I do. We're a baseball town here, and I do congratulate. I missed that. I usually don't miss stories like that. Isn't it a weird day, just kind of overall the day after a holiday, to have an election day?
Yeah, it really is. And just in talking to some people who are out working the polls, they said voting was very, very light today. So you get a light turnout. It makes it very difficult to predict what the outcome is going to be.
I mentioned a couple hours ago to Sean Spicer that I thought that maybe John Cornyn still had a chance. He laughed at me, Bill. He said, Reardon, if Cornyn wins, I have a better chance of being a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox if Cornyn wins. So he seemingly thinks it's a done deal. And if you look at the polling, he's got like an 8-9 point margin. But again, a lot of this depends on turnout. And there was a ton of money that was spent by John Cornyn in this race. I mean, he outspent Paxton by a lot, didn't he, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, 20-1, 30-1, something like that. Look, I think the polling and certainly the prediction markets all show that Paxton's likely to win. That's what I'm expecting to happen. The question really is what happens after that, because Paxton is deeply unpopular in Texas with independents and Democrats.
But how can you, because this happens, and it happened with Beto O'Rourke. So, we're sitting here in a pretty red state in Missouri, and, every once in a while, someone will say, well, maybe we'll get a moderate Democrat that'll take a statewide office. That used to happen. We used to be a purple state. But it's very difficult for me to believe that the state of Texas would send someone like James Tallarico with his 6 genders, et cetera, into the United States Senate. But, Texas politics better than I do, Bill King.
Well, it's certainly, Texas has always been the great white whale that the Democrats have chased, and they've never caught it. But this is a little bit different, and Paxton is a hugely flawed candidate. He's been involved in a whole number of scandals. The most recent thing is his office let a confessed child predator off with a 60-day sentence, and women especially are furious with that, plus his multiple affairs on his wife, who, by the way, Paxton's wife is a state senator in Texas and very popular. So this has really split the Republican Party right down the middle. But when you look at the polling, of course, no Democrat's going to vote for him, and he's losing independents about 2-1. And Texas is actually about a third Republican, a third independent, and a third Democrat. The reason that Republicans have always won here is that independents broke about 2-1 for Republicans. So people think of it as being a deep red state, but it was basically because independents looked at the two and said, well, the Democrats are much worse than the Republicans are. I've been saying for years that what the Republicans in Texas really have going for them is how god awful the Democrats are. But this time, I think a lot of people are sort of flipping the script on that.
Well, and you also look, this election is not today. The general election is in November, and there's so many things that could change. Look, there's a lot of things that could go really, really wrong for the president on the economy and Iran right now, which could push, Paxton into a more uncomfortable spot. But the track record of President Trump when he does get involved in these races, you can't deny is pretty good.
No, in the primary, that's absolutely true. But I'm sort of looking past the primary, assuming that Paxton's going to win to the general election. And, listen, Trump has a negative approval rating in Texas right now.
Does he really?
5 or 6 points. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, and what do you think that is primarily based on? Is it the economy? Is it the war or the gas price? Because, look, I've been preaching here for a little while, and I think that the president's making a mistake by not addressing the issue of gas prices in a way that is more empathetic to the American people who don't really know. I mean, look, we just had a voter on that didn't really even know how to pronounce John Cornyn's name. Let's face it, I'm not criticizing her. A lot of people aren't dialed into the particulars, but they know when they fill their gas tank up that they're paying, twice as much as they were a couple of months ago. So I think that the administration is making some errors here on miscalculating on the economy, sort of repeating some of the blunders of the Biden administration. So, I think a lot can change between now and the end of the summer, and some of it could certainly get better, Bill, but we don't know where this is taking us.
Well, they're saying the same thing the Biden administration was saying. You guys don't know how good you've really got it out there. That generally doesn't work with the American people. But here's the real critical thing to understand about Texas. We have a huge Latino vote in Texas. And in the last election in 2024, the Latinos, which traditionally Democrats have about a 10-point advantage with, flipped and went for Republicans. And for a lot of different reasons, including the fact that they are culturally very conservative. They really didn't like the open borders. Democrats thought they did, but they've never liked that. And so, a bunch of those counties down along the border, Trump won like 80% of them. That is completely flipped around. They are now so furious with him on economic issues, and also because the way he went about handling immigration. They wanted the border shut down. They didn't want people being thrown down on the street. Latinos are not okay with that. And if you look at even like Minnesota, most of the people that were really being abused up there were Latinos.
Yeah, so look, now you're kind of scaring me because, again, you would hope that seat is safe there from Texas, but there are a lot of factors that are involved. By the way, the other thing that, and I talked about this a little bit last week before I left for the holiday, but there's an interesting dynamic, Bill, as you probably are aware, going on the Republican side on this $1.8 billion that was kind of, stuffed into the rescission package. And some Republicans finally have, said, wait a second, what are we spending this money on? We're supposed to be, talking about reducing the budget, and then we're spending $1.8 billion. Now, some of that is on, increased Secret Service. There are good projects that are in that bubble, but look, that's a lot of money, and some of it's for the the renovation of the ballroom. So some GOP senators in particular are saying, wait a second, what are you doing here?
Well, I don't know if you saw Ted Cruz recount of the meeting that the Attorney General had, but he said there were 40 Republican senators, and half of them were screaming at the top of their lungs.
Oh, I believe it.
Tone deaf this was. But let me go back to the Tallarico-Paxton race for just a second. If you go look right now, the Real Clear Politics average has Tallarico up, and all the prediction markets have him at least a 50% or higher rating right now.
Yeah, but that's before the ads that, will get pounded where he talks about non-binary and 6 genders and all that stuff. I mean, that's going to have an effect.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. The Republicans have a lot of seats they've got to defend and go after this time. They're really worried about Ohio now because that was pulled up to basically even. In Maine, Collins is well underwater. In Georgia, they're underwater. So they've got a lot of places to try to spread their money around. And, of course, the Democrats are going to be salivating at the chance to get Texas. So I'm just telling you, it's going to be a very competitive race. I think I'm not predicting they're going to lose a seat, but I think it's going to be the closest U.S. Senate race we've had in a really long time.
It's going to be interesting to watch. Bill, thanks for all the contributions. We continue to track that. Thank you so much. That's Bill King down in Houston. He mentioned that meeting last week, and I didn't cover this because I was out of town. But look, there was, to Bill's points, Ted Cruz said it became very clear that the administration could have a very tough time moving its agenda through Congress for the rest of this year because of the relationships that Trump has, and they're very strained with, you can call them the establishment. Some of them are the establishment. Some of them are Rand Paul, because Rand Paul is a being unto his own as a libertarian. But Tom Tillis, Bill Cassidy, and John Cornyn all making it a little tougher for the GOP on this. But let me just say this. What's funny is these are the establishment guys that are questioning the spending. Why aren't the Trump people questioning the spending? Because he wants a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund in this budget. Now, we mentioned this last week. Maybe that's money that is well needed. What I don't like and what Republicans don't like is the way that they stuffed it in to this particular package. Let's have a debate about that money. Is it needed? Is it not needed? But that's a lot of money. And part of that is to, compensate people who were prosecuted in ways by the Justice Department that were deemed unfair. So there's a lot of questions that Republicans have about some of the spending that's being pushed through, which, by the way, might not get pushed through because the numbers aren't there.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, if you happen to be a westbound 70 driver out of downtown, things look pretty good at this hour. In fact, it looks great all the way out to about just about Cave Springs, more like Zumbel. There's a little bit of a slow go there and at Wentzville. And eastbound is still jammed east of Warrenton in the construction zone there. There was an incident as well. Southbound 170 is slowing south of Olive through 64. And westbound 64, it's Kings Highway out through McCausland that has some volume. And then again at Highway N, one more time out of Prospect. Eastbound is slowing at Timberlake Manor and approaching 170 through Big Bend. We look fine on the bridges downtown if you're headed into Illinois, although we just had a report, there it is, an accident eastbound on the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. There's also heavy traffic eastbound 64 approaching 255 due to road work, and moderate volume on the Missouri side, southbound 270, south of Olive down through 21. Now, there was an accident on the JB Bridge westbound. Look for that on the right side. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, I know this was a very exciting time a year ago for the team at the law offices of Susan L. Ward, LLC, because she and the team moved into this brand new office that they've been in now for almost a year. Maybe it is a year because they moved in, I think, early May. So a little more than a year into Pear at 270 in Manchester Road. Beautiful new office. Susan has a ton of experience. They've been around here in St. Louis handling family law cases for 2+ decades. And that includes divorce, but it's issues related to children, domestic partnerships, even domestic violence. And regardless of what issues are involved in your case, everyone's different. They're very committed to bringing you and your case everything that they have in their experience and knowledge to help you reach the best possible resolution. These are tricky cases, a lot of emotions, a lot of anger involved. You need someone to kind of take that out of the mix, and Susan is perfect for that, and she's been doing this for a long time. So if you need her help, a couple of ways to contact them. You can either go to the website, stlfamilylaw.com, or call 314-783-9400. The focus on family law, the emphasis on you. Susan L. Ward.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Hey, it's Matt and Leslie Holiday. When we got to St. Louis, it wasn't long before we started searching for a way to give back.
We visited Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, and we knew this is where we belonged.
Homers for Health has been going strong for 15 years and has made such an unbelievable impact on the hospital. I've won a World Series, but I consider the work we have done at Cardinal Glennon to be the greatest achievement.
Yes, your support truly makes a difference. Make your pledge for patients today at homersforhealth.org to benefit the devoted fund.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis Conservative.
All right, I wanted to do this a little earlier and I didn't have time at 4:04. This is just one of those crazy stories. We'll get into Tech Talk Tuesdays with George Rosenthal here in just a moment. But there's this guy, and I feel like I have to play the song here just because that is not what I expected. Oh, there you go. That is it. Ethan pulled that. There's this dude who, that sounds like a different Wheel of Fortune theme, but maybe I don't watch Wheel of Fortune enough. Sue, did you hear about this guy? He spent 6 years watching 2,000 episodes of Wheel of Fortune.
Holy cow.
But here's why he did it. He was tracking which husbands got divorced, and the results are breaking people's brains. Yes, so he's going viral because he spent 6 years building what may be one of the most unhinged relationship studies that the internet has ever seen. His mission was to find out whether husbands who publicly praise their wives stay married longer. So he watched 2,000 episodes of Wheel of Fortune. He logged how male contestants introduced their wives. He separated my beautiful wife guys from the men who just said, my wife. And then he spent years tracking divorce records afterwards. Apparently this guy had way too much time on his hands.
New York, let's talk about your family. Married?
Yes, married to my wonderful wife, Janet, for 6 years.
Could you imagine your husband going on national television and referring to you simply as his wife instead of his beautiful wife or wonderful wife? What if I told you those audacious dudes were divorced within 5 years at a rate nearly 3 times that of their wife-praising counterparts?
Wow. Isn't that interesting? So listen to what he finds here. This is all scientific. It has to be real.
I went back and watched nearly 2,000 episodes of Wheel of Fortune and followed up to see how many of these men were kicked to the curb, and what I found will leave your jaw completely in place. Now, some qualifying remarks here, because while this sample size is large enough to draw some real conclusions, this won't be perfect. First of all, the episode had to air, not be filmed, from the calendar year of 2010 through the calendar year of 2019.
Seems good.
Also, I only took data from those who presented as heterosexual males, but I can tell you anecdotally that both male and female contestants describing their same-sex partners used complimentary adjectives at an even higher rate.
Oh, there you go.
Only about 2/3 of my group mentioned having a wife at all, so this is based on those approximately 2,000 data points. So as you can see here, more than 4 in 5 use some kind of complimentary adjective to describe their wife. And of those, I could only find that 5.5% of them were divorced within 5 years.
Yeah, so he's got like graphs and charts, and he's tracking this, and he's running through this on the internet with people.
Now, these are full divorces that I could confirm. I'm sure there were some trial separations in there, as well as some divorce records I couldn't find. So now on to the boys with nothing nice to say.
Here we go.
As you can see, only around 18% had the audacity, but of those, over 15% ended up looking for love within 5 years. And not sure if I mentioned this, but this was within 5 years of the airing of the episode. So if your episode aired in 2011 and you didn't get divorced till 2018, you are not counted as divorced within 5 years. I did pull out one subset that I thought might be interesting. Such a small sample size here, but of those male contestants with wives, I wanted to see how the big winners fared. So this is winning $40,000 or more. As you can see, the nice guys actually won big at a slightly higher rate, making up 86% of the big winners pool versus 82% of the general pool. And the divorce rate for both the nice guys and the audacious guys was actually slightly higher when they had a big win. More money, more problems.
He broke down the big money winners. He broke down the long-term marriage outcomes. He broke down the contestant demographics. He had to get confirmed divorces after the airing dates, as he indicated. So the internet is melting down over this, over several things. And this is a post by someone who goes by the name of Hustle, rhymes with witch. I won't say that word real quick. So they're melting down over the dedication. I mean, that's a lot of dedication, right?
Oh, yeah.
The spreadsheet insanity, which, oh my God. The fact that someone sacrificed 6 years of their life to become the world's leading Wheel of Fortune marriage analyst, that's kind of an interesting title, right? And now the comments are coming in, right? So here's one. This is what happens when autism gains access to Excel, right? That would be. Didn't you just say you wanted someone to teach you how to use Excel?
Yeah,
like
I'm going to pass on this.
Are you? Okay.
Yes.
Here's another one. Bro created a relationship prediction model from game show footage. Here's another one. This is either genius or mental illness. I might go with the latter. The wife carried the family while he became the Rain Man of Wheel of Fortune. That's actually a really good point. What the hell was going on with his marriage at the time? Here's another one. This man saw a pattern and refused to let it go. So the question that the person who tweeted about this is, does the way that someone publicly talk about their partner secretly reveal everything about the relationship, or is this the most insane use of free time the internet has ever witnessed? I think I'm going to go probably with the latter, but you do have to give him some points for dedication because, man, he went in and he dug into the numbers and
Well,
wow.
he really got into it.
But he admitted, did you notice from the very beginning, he admitted that, this is not
wacky.
perfect and it's
No.
just kind of something that he's having fun with, right?
Which I appreciate. So it's just a little bit more likely that you're going to stay married if you call her your beautiful wife before you play Wheel of Fortune.
Right, but I also think it's a little more likely that you're not going to stay married if you win more money, it sounds like, too. Like,
Yeah,
he did look into that, and I don't know if that's, look, I think a lot of these things are coincidental to a certain extent. It's amazing to me. This is where we are in 2026, that we're having a debate over a guy that watched 2,000 episodes of Wheel of Fortune to determine the marriage rates, and that someone actually has the time to do that. Now, one thing I don't know is, because he said he watched, right?
Yeah.
So this wasn't done by AI extracting this
No.
information. So over the course of all this time. Now, look, over the course of 6 years, how many episodes is that a year? Do the math
I don't
for me
know.
here.
But
It's
think
not
about,
that many over 6 years is my point.
No.
If you are watching the show anyway and you're taking some notes down, the real work is going to find the divorce records.
that exactly.
Yeah.
And what if your name is John Smith? I
Right.
mean, good luck.
Yeah, he may have had to toss a few if he wasn't sure.
Yes.
It's Tech Talk Tuesdays. George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet is coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is an accident westbound on the JB Bridge, and they've got the right lane blocked. Traffic is stacked up actually in both directions. 55 looks great out of downtown, and that's through multiple construction zones. It's looking better. Now, westbound 40 is jammed headed for Kings Highway. There's an accident just past Kings Highway causing a delay. Then traffic picks up again, and that's Clayton Skinker on out through McCausland. Eastbound is slow approaching 170 through Big Bend, which is jamming up southbound 170. And out west, 64, some moderate volume at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 70, some volume at Zumbel and at Wentzville. And eastbound is still slow, headed for Wright City. We've also got eastbound 70 slow at 64 on the Illinois side, and 64 slowing at 255. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they have been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. They do siding to bathrooms, and they deliver quality craftsmanship with lifetime warranties. Go to lakesiderd.com. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Every Tuesday, George from ThrottleNet
Yay.
shares the list of topics with Fred, that he would like to discuss. But one of the topics today is that the Pope has weighed in. He's weighed in very seriously on the topic of AI. So I want to get George's response on that. Tech Talk Tuesdays coming up here in just a couple of minutes. I want you to get, and really, this is such a no-brainer, and it's so easy for you to get a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Lucky for you, there is a Generator Supercenter right here in the St. Louis area. They're in Chesterfield on the airport road. They have a retail dealership. You don't really have to go in. If you want to, you can. But here's what I'm going to tell you. They don't sell portables. These are high-quality generators that you need to maintain, do the warranty work on, the monitoring, and the maintenance. And that's everything that they do at Generac. They make sure, the Generator Supercenter rather, make sure that they install the Generac home standby generator the right way, and they maintain it and they monitor it. And that means when the power goes out, it's going to kick right back in, and you're not going to hear a big loud noise from a portable generator because it uses propane or natural gas, powers your home while you're away. The food won't spoil. It's a no-brainer. Again, it won't hurt to call the showroom to stop by for a free estimate. Financing is available, so don't be the person that says, man, I wish I would have called to get a generator. Do it. Right now, we know the power grid's going to fail in massive ways in the future, unfortunately. 499-2020, 314-499-2020, Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
5:30. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
From High Ridge to Pontoon Beach, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You know, these holiday weekends are so weird because I feel like I haven't been here since last Thursday, mainly because I haven't been here since last
That'll
Thursday.
do it.
And then tomorrow's Wednesday already, and we got Dwayne Patterson from hotair.com, and I feel like we just talked to Dwayne. And we didn't because it was last Wednesday. But that's what the brain does when we have these days off. We have a little segment that we call Tech Talk Tuesdays, and we're going to do it right now.
Tech Talk Tuesday with George Rosenthal of ThrottleNet, ThrottleNet.com.
Well, hello, George. How are you this afternoon? Whoop. He's not there. He went away. I even pressed the button, and then it just went away. It's ironic.
Fred's on it.
It's ironic that you have a segment called Tech Talk Tuesdays, and it's technology that brings it to its knees because a simple phone line won't work. But we're going to give it the old college try and give it one more time. George, how are you? I mean, I gave you the best intro ever, and it didn't work because of technology. How are you this afternoon?
Doing great. Thanks so much. Good to talk to you again.
Let me start with something personal, George. I'm being very serious. I need some help with something.
Sure.
Sue, did you get the homework assignment that was sent out by the bosses? I don't know if it only went to the hosts or if you got it. So I have an assignment.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. So, and I ignore these things because they come to me in my work email, and I don't really pay attention to those things. But so last week, George, our boss Steve Moore sends something out. Here's what we need from each. That would be Sue and I. The name, the day part, that means like when you're working.
Right.
I work from 3 to 6. I don't do any work outside of that, really only work 3 hours a day, if that. Somebody has done the math like the guy with the Wheel of Fortune soon. If you take out the commercials, I think I might work like 2 hours and 13 minutes a day.
Don't focus on that.
Okay. But anyway, so I have to include this stuff, and then I have to have a bio, and then I'm asked, how do I approach being an ambassador for a client? And then I'm supposed to have community involvement, passions, and a photo. Can I just toss all this in? Teach me how to do this with ChatGPT so I don't have to do this stuff, and I can just tell them to put it all together. How do I do that?
Yes, 100%. You should be using AI for all of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
All of that. In fact, by now, Mark, the AI, whatever the tool is that you would like to be using, whether it's Gemini, Claude, GPT, but obviously more toward the Claude and Gemini, I would recommend that you already have that set up already. So what we need to do is get you set up to where the AI is starting to learn who you are, what you do for a living, the type of clients you have, how you work with clients, that kind of thing. And then if that information's there, and you can type all this in, you can talk to it. You can just start talking to it and say, here's what I need. I need to come up with this information, this, and this. Here's some information about me. And you're talking to it just like you and I are talking right now on the phone. You're talking to it. And then it will spit out. And then, no matter what it gives you, you can always ask more questions or ask it to do different things and adjust it. Give it your picture. You upload a headshot that you have.
Well, they want a picture.
Yeah, they want it.
They've requested that,
Yep.
yes.
Perfect. So you give it a headshot, and then you say, with all that information that you just gave me, I want you to put together a very nice formatted PDF that has my headshot at the top, and that lays all this information out for me, and maybe put the company logo and footer at the bottom so you look a little more professional.
Okay.
And it will do it all for you.
So what are you doing tomorrow about 10 a.m. in the morning? This is my email says
I can walk you through this.
It's due by COB on Wednesday. I believe that's close of business. I'm not completely sure because I don't read company emails. But I may be circling back around with you tomorrow morning on this because honestly,
100%.
now I'm motivated to put this thing. It's going to be like longer than one of these bills on Capitol Hill, and the bosses will have to read all this. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So thank you for doing that. Hey, look, the Pope is getting involved in all this stuff.
Artificial intelligence needs to be disarmed. The word is strong, I know, but deliberately chosen because this moment needs words capable of attracting attention, awakening consciences, and indicating paths forward for humanity.
I think Pope Leo is on the same page I am.
I hear very troubling accounts of algorithms that can block access to healthcare, employment, and security on the basis of data tainted by prejudice and injustice.
That's quite a statement from the pontiff, isn't it?
It is. And you know what? It needs to be said. I'm so glad he's saying it. I wish it would have been said a few years ago, but thank goodness somebody's doing it now, because I've been saying this for years. This is the greatest threat to humanity. And it isn't China to America. It is AI that will hold us hostage someday if it's allowed to, meaning if you weaponize it, if you put it into the Defense Department in full and let it make its own decisions, at some point it can take over weapons and say, look, either you humans behave or else. And that's what the Pope's getting at. He's legitimately saying, look, we need to knock this off before it gets too far. And I think, obviously, Pandora's out of the box, but how do you reel it back in? I mean, to give you...
Right, how do you do that?
Well,
and that's the thing. So, go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, George, you guys, it's nice that he would say this, but this means nothing.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's drawing attention to it, and I think, look, my take is the Pope's saying, look, we need to have more conversations about this, and we need to vet this and really let people know what's going on here, because the amount of people, let's face it, think about people listening to the show right now. They're informed, they're educated. A lot of people, I'm not saying they're dumb, but they don't take the time. They don't really know. They hear about AI. They don't know what it all encompasses. These are important issues that will affect, like I'm worried about my daughter. I'm not really worried about my future. I'm worried about my kids, my boys and their future and what the implications of this will all be.
I think that it's already started. I don't think there's any way to stop it. I don't understand.
Well, I mean, George, you tell me, there better be a way to stop some of the, the malfeasance aspects of this. That's what I think we're talking about. We're not talking about the things that are going to benefit us, but if things are going to start taking over, I'm telling you, Sue, you watch that 60-minute story from a couple of years ago, it will scare the living daylights out of you.
Listen, I don't argue that. I just don't think he can. It doesn't matter what he says.
It does matter what he says, because he speaks for, millions of Catholics across the planet. He gets attention on what he says. So I think it's important for him to have the conversation.
I think definitely one thing that needs to be brought out to light, and this is something that not everybody knows what's going on right now, and that is this. Anthropic, okay, they are a company just like OpenAI, but their main system is called Claude, which I love. Everybody I talk to loves Claude. Okay, great. Well, the Pentagon gave Claude, out of all the AI engines that are out there, they gave Claude the exclusive to the War Department and said, you are the only approved AI engine that we are going to use for defense. And then Claude said, great. They were all happy about it, except they asked the Pentagon to not do mass surveillance on U.S. citizens using the tool and not putting Claude into lethal autonomous weapons that could be used without a human oversight or kill switch. Whoa. And the Pentagon said no. They said, go fly a kite. We signed an agreement with you. We're using your engine however we feel necessary under the law. And Claude then flipped out and said, and started filing a lawsuit. Well, in March, they filed two major lawsuits to say, look, if we don't want our engine to be used for mass human casualty. And the Pentagon said, tough. Well, thankfully, a judge just said, hey, U.S. government, you can't use their tool the way that they're asking for it, because in the contract it states you were going to use it for other, for good, not just autonomous weapons. So right now, the government had to reinstate Claude as the preferred vendor because they had blacklisted them. And this goes to show you, because here's why. The government's main argument was, hey, look, we could get into a war. Claude doesn't like it. Anthropic doesn't like the fact that we're using their tool in warfare. They then send an update and shut the whole thing down.
Right, exactly.
In the middle of a war.
Well, that's why this stuff is so crazy. It really is. Now, on the fun side of technology, I just want you to get into this because I played this audio briefly. But what happened when AI was trying to use the word WWE as a word? Listen here.
The show will happen. The stadium will likely fill up one way or another. What? And
this just goes on. This, you're telling me this is real? This is real AI flipping out trying to say WWE? Okay, that's nuts, right?
What?
By the way, that goes on for another minute. I could play another minute of that. Has this happened with other words?
No, so it's some engines are better than others, obviously. And you can tell
I would
a lot
say
of these engines we're at the very infancy of the whole thing. But that was hilarious in the fact that it was trying to put three letters into a word that wasn't a word. and it didn't understand because there were no periods in between each W, and then after the E. So it didn't realize it was an acronym. It thought it was a word. So see, again, it's not, AI is not conscious. It doesn't have human thought. It's just regurgitating what it thinks you want to hear in order to help based on statistics and what kind of reasoning it can have. But reasoning is a strong word for what it's really doing. It's not reasoning yet. But it's going to get to that point, and that's what the Pope is saying. So it's funny to hear the whoa, but you realize, okay, well, first off, the voice sounded really good.
Yeah,
when it first started
did.
talking.
Yeah,
which scared me. I was like, oh wow, that sounds like a real guy. And it was so the voice is getting better. Well, they're going to fix all these little issues here and there as it's accelerating every month. This is getting better and better and better.
We're out of a job by when? April of next year is what I'm predicting.
Yeah.
Right before my birthday, probably. All right, you had one other topic I wanted to hit on here, and I'm not exactly sure what this encompasses, but you wrote a note to us that said the hidden price of free, what your data is really worth. Explain that.
Yeah. This one's fascinating. This one blew my mind because we always talk about how they're watching, they're listening, they're selling your data. Well, a company, an organization went in and figured out what it is, how much it costs. So on average, in your lifetime, of course, depending on how long you live, on average, you're between $700,000 and $800,000. Just your digital profile on the internet is worth to companies just under $1 million. So, they're giving you a free email address at Gmail. Whoop-de-doo. Okay, they're making $800,000 on you over your lifetime. That's roughly $6,500 a year per person in the U.S. Now, in the U.K. and the UE, it is a quarter of that because they have a lot of privacy laws. They've locked down the ability of tracking and what kinds of data can be sold and what can be bought. So that's a good thing. But again, this goes back to every click, every location ping, your purchase history, things you do on Facebook and Instagram and Amazon purchases. The combination of your entire digital life is up for sale for roughly around $800,000. So when next time you think, oh, well, they're giving me a free email address, it's okay. Well, not really, because they're making $1 million on you. So it's kind of insane what they're collecting. But yes, there actual is real dollars behind it, which is why they're listening to everything we say on our devices, on our phones. They're tracking everything you do. So, just be aware. Most people have succumbed to the fact that Big Brother's listening and who cares because of the ease that it's brought to your life. The ability to talk to an AI agent in your house, and all of a sudden the dog food shows up next week. So that kind of ease of lifestyle has given way to people saying no to Big Brother, which I hate to go back to the first story, but it's true. That goes back to the Pope saying everybody needs to look out. The biggest danger of humans on this earth isn't China, it's AI. And what happens when it infiltrates itself into the backbone of everything that we do on the internet and, of course, defense and War Department. So we all have to keep an eye on this stuff, and I really hope regulators get their act together. I mean, the government's got to get ahead of this stuff. They're so delayed on everything.
See, that's my concern.
These
are national conversations. There need to be debates. People need transparency. There needs to be information, and I feel like we're just kicking the can.
Well, I get that.
Oh, we're totally kicking the can.
But I think it's because it's changing like every day. Okay, George, there's somebody online has a question for you. When I delete a text and I report it as junk or spam, what happens to that? Does no one see it or nothing happens? Does it just where does it go?
Well, it depends on what platform you're on. If you're an iOS, if you're an iPhone user, I know this for sure. It gets saved for anywhere between 30 and 90 days. So you can always go back and pull up deleted text and deleted conversations. After that, it's gone. Now, that's from your device. Is Apple saving all that? Of course they are. They're saving every single text, every single conversation that you have, because they're using that data, of course, is part of your digital footprint. It's part of your digital life. So, yes, the text messages are saved. This is why law enforcement can go back. Somebody will commit a crime and they'll delete the conversation they had with somebody, and the law enforcement goes right back in there and pulls it up.
Right,
It doesn't matter.
But I guess he's talking specifically about junk or spam. You can say, okay, I get rid of that. I block it. They save that too?
They do, because what they'll do is they'll use that for everybody else. So if you claim something is junk, they'll do an investigation on that digitally really fast, but they do an investigation on it to then pass that down to the rest of the subscribers of the iCloud to make sure that they don't get the same junk or the same spam messaging, and that it does help to remove and clean up the digital world. But yes, it is everything. Just think about every time you leave your house, you're on camera. Every time you talk in your house, your phone is listening to you. Your TV is listening to you. If you have a smart refrigerator, it's listening to you, unless you specifically turn all that off. Same thing with your text messages. Just assume that everything that you do on the digital life is not only recorded and saved, but used to sell you something.
Shoo.
Yeah, the great irony there is everything that is going on in my house is listening to me, except for my 11-year-old daughter. The human is the one who does not listen to me.
Correct.
Can we squeeze this in here? Is there some sort of cheat deal going on at Princeton with AI?
Yeah, so a third of the student body is insane. This is crazy. A third of the student body admitted to cheating with AI.
A third.
Yes, and not only that, it gets even worse. A third of the student body, admitted to vibe coding, which is writing software by just talking to AI and telling it what you want. So there are kids out there that are writing their own software programs to do homework for them, to do research for them, to come up with and have it in a specific writing style that other AI engines can't detect. So schools have this these tools, anti-AI, to find out if your paper was written by AI or not. It is nowhere near accurate. And so many students have been accused of cheating that have never cheated. And that's the problem, is that they're trying to use an antiquated AI tool to see if AI was used. And the students are coming up with other reasons and other ways around that by writing their own software applications. The era of having to be a software developer, and that's the only way you can write software, is over.
Yeah.
You can talk to the AI and have it build you an application. You can have it build you a mobile app, and you can launch it on the Apple Store. You can have it launch. You could literally put for what, $20 a month on GoDaddy.com. You could host a website. You could then have AI write your software application and post it up on your new website for $20 a month, and have this thing do whatever you want it to do to help you through school at Princeton. And a third of the students are admitting they're doing this. I mean, the integrity of the higher education is seriously in danger, and it needs to be looked at. This is another thing that needs to be looked at, is the integrity of the university you go to. What's it really worth? If you pay $300,000 to go to a high-end university, how much better is it really than the other one?
Yeah.
Because these kids are using AI tools to do the same thing.
I would say that gap is going to get more narrow and narrow. We'll go out with this just because I think it's so funny. Tech Talk Tuesday with George Rosenthal, throttlenet.com, WWE, the Can't Say It. George, we'll talk next week.
You got it. Have a great rest.
I hit the music, and I didn't really want to hit the music. There it is.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Still a couple of slow spots, but we are thinning out nicely in traffic. Now, eastbound 70 still slow between Warrenton and Wright City. We've got southbound 170 slow ramping on to eastbound 64, but westbound is only just a little moderate volume at Clayton Skinker. And an accident westbound on the Jefferson Barracks Bridge. This has been blocking the right side, and there is a slow go behind it. But we also look pretty good on the Illinois side, just a little bit slow, eastbound 64 at 255. But an accident now westbound 44 in front of the Arch grounds, and that is causing a delay behind it. It's almost at the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, we started Tech Talk Tuesday at the beginning of the year. We originally planned on doing it every other week, but man, there's so much good stuff, and especially with AI, we do it every week. And George is awesome. And I want to tell you about his company, ThrottleNet, because he is one of the founders and one of the experts of ThrottleNet. They've been helping St. Louis businesses make sure that they can navigate technology safely for over 25 years. They focus on security, strategy, and keeping companies productive. And that's not easy in this era. Cyber threats are constant. They're not just a big company problems. Small and mid-sized St. Louis businesses are being targeted every day. That's why you need ThrottleNet's help, because no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. They don't lock you into contracts. They're the only IT company that backs their cybersecurity with a $500,000 cyber protection program. So if you'd like to know as a business owner where you stand, are you secure? Are you one mistake or click away from a breach? Go to throttlenet.com/971. That's going to give you a free baseline IT security audit. It's a great way to get started, get clarity on your cybersecurity risk, and they can take it from there. throttlenet.com/971.
Never miss a beat. Take 97.1 FM Talk with you. The voices you trust, Mark Cox, Annie Fry, Mark Reardon, Scott Jennings, and more are just a tap away with the Odyssey app. Stream 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
When it comes to family law, a lot has changed in recent years, so assumptions can be costly. If you see or sense a change coming in your family life that could have legal implications, it's important to know where you stand. Getting good legal advice early is never a bad idea. I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. If you or anyone you know is facing a family law issue, start with a consultation. Visit CordellCordell.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IBW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is The Mark Reardon Show.
Yeah, we got a shortened week, so it's already Wednesday tomorrow. Dwayne Patterson from hotair.com at 5 o'clock. We might get Kilmeade on the show tomorrow. And then we're, I started asking Fred today about the roundtable because it's only a couple days away. And he said, yeah, oh my gosh, I got to get on that. So we miss a Monday. We tend to be a little bit behind, which is what happened with the holiday from yesterday. We're all back together here for this week. Now, as I mentioned earlier on the show, I had major brain surgery last week. I had a cyst removed, and I'm getting my stitches out tomorrow morning, and could be a lengthy process. Don't know if I'll make the show tomorrow. There's 2 stitches that they have to remove from the back of my head, so I'm not sure. Whew. It's been a while since I've had stitches pulled out, so a little nervous about that. Hey, I was kind of struggling a little bit for an audio cut of the day, but never fear.
Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Okay, but I'm going to set this one up a little bit, and I've talked about A.B. Hernandez before. A.B. Hernandez is a boy who has been stealing opportunities from women in track and field in the state of California for years now. And I love the way, I'm going to read you how this is covered from the pro-trans Alphabet Mafia publications. This one's called Them, perfectly, right? And the headline is Trans Athlete A.B. Hernandez Forced to Share First Place with Cisgender Girls at Track Meet. I love the cisgender thing is, how about this? A.B. Hernandez, a boy, is forced to share first place with girls at a track meet. So they have some new rules now, and this is what's interesting. And people are all bent out of shape over it, right? So A.B. Hernandez, again, has been smoking these girls. This has been a story that Riley Gaines and Jen Say and some of us have been, really following for a while. But now they have this new athletic policy, which was, I guess, enacted last year, and I didn't remember this. You have to now share the podium with cisgender girls, which, again, is just stupid because you're sharing it with girls. Now, she goes in, she wins the high jump, the long jump, the triple jump. It's not even close. She's 17 years old. She's smoking all the boys. So finally,
the girls?
Smoking all the girls, yeah. The boy is smoking all the girls, and they finally decide to do something about it. But I love this because as I asked Riley this question at one point when I had her on, I said, why is it that you don't have anyone, whether it's, what's her name from the U.S. Women's World Cup teams or any of the other trans activists out there, how can they not see the fairness issue? Right?
I don't understand it.
Right. So,
I truly do not.
And she said, well, if they do, the whole house of cards collapses, right? They have to admit it all. And that's kind of like the situation here.
If you have to create a shared podium for the boy competing in the girls' event, then you've already admitted that you know he isn't a girl. Think about it.
That's
You're admitting
right.
that you know his participation isn't fair. And at this point, I believe they're just seeking a public humiliation ritual for the girls. I mean, really, it's probably one of the most abusive things that you can do to a young woman.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Yes,
To
it
have
is.
an extra person up there who beats you because he has a penis, and you're going to highlight them and put them in a higher position
It's
on the podium.
outrageous.
You know, and this is California, but you know that this stuff is going on in Illinois. It's going on around here, and it's disgusting. But I love the way that the Alphabet Mafia publications write these stories. Like she's the victim here. And they never once go into the fairness issue here and how a male can dominate these women. They never ask that question. Why is it that as an athlete, A.B. Hernandez is winning every single event? She defeats every competitor and she wins. Well, of course she wins because she's not a girl.
Correct.
It's pretty simple.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got an accident downtown. It's westbound 44 approaching the Poplar Street Bridge, so it goes underneath it there. And this is in front of the Arch Grounds. It's created a jam behind it. That is the worst of it right now. Other than that, we're in pretty good shape. Now, eastbound 70 is still slow east of Warrenton to about Wright City. Westbound 40, just a little moderate volume out at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 70 looks good. And we're thinning out. There was an accident westbound on the JB Bridge on the right side. Still some traffic behind that. And on the Illinois side, we're fine on the bridges downtown. But eastbound 64 slows approaching 157 due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Just pray for my soul tomorrow, okay?
Oh, yes.
2 stitches. Remember that.
If you're hiring a contractor, you want to work with somebody with a great reputation. Mark Cox here to tell you more.